Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make
Happy 420. Happy 420. Good morning, Oomph. Good morning, Kevin. Kevin, how are you, my darling? Neil. Neil, you're back. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, right now. This is the first weed I've had today on 420. On this most holy days. On this most holiest of days, my friends, I say to you, I'm okay. How are you? I'm doing fine. How are you? But you know what day it is? It's Monday. It's Monday. That's right. It's Monday. I'm a little tired, but that's okay. It's all right. I think all of us are tired, frankly. Up here, we were at the date 24, so we abstain. Oh, well, then I don't understand that. Maybe 2004 is your 420. Maybe that's just what that is. It's just like you say 24. 24. Yeah. Grace Lisa. I smoke 2 joints in the morning. I smoke 2 joints at night. I smoke 2 joints in the afternoon. It makes me feel all right. I'm not sure that's the tune, but it's a great little song you wrote there. Good morning, Jane, and Grace Lisa's here, and Neil, and Kevin, and Oomph. Yeah, the 4th day of the 20th month. That's right. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Oh my God. I look like I just got out of the pool or something. I don't even understand. I can't quite tell what I look like either because I can't see, but that's all right. Who needs to see? Seeing is so overrated. Yes. Yeah, I didn't. Well, actually, that's not true. I have a bunch of things to read to you that I planned this weekend, so I am going to do that. But I feel like unprepared. Does that make sense? I am prepared, yet I feel unprepared. Have you ever had a moment like that where you've done the work? You probably know what you're going to talk about, but you just don't feel prepared. That's kind of where I'm at this morning. Lack of preparation Monday. It's like those nightmares you have where you don't have any underwear on in school and you have to take a science test and you haven't studied in about 40 years. Oh my God. Yes, I know. Mondays. Am I right? I don't like Mondays. Actually, I don't mind Mondays now that I'm not working every day. So, I don't like Sundays. I've never liked Sundays. I think Sundays are really stupid. I just don't think they do enough. Because you're just worried about, well, not worried, but you're like going to work the next day. So it's not like you can have like endless fun. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Maybe the work week should start on Tuesdays. Excuse me. I just got a frog in my throat. It's probably all this great weed. Yummy. Sorry, that was a loud gulp. What happened to my... Hold on, I got to get the fire back on the fireplace. Anyway, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Happy 420. This is Wake and Bake with Lolo, and I'm Lolo. And I'm here. And I'm here to say, how you doing? No. I feel like I want to make a statement about really got to pay quarterly Medicare premium. Seems like I just paid that. How do you get it quarterly? I thought it comes out of your monthly. I don't know. Is that? I guess you. What? That's terrible. I don't like quarterly. Seems like that's a lot of money. That's a fuck ton of money, Honey Max. Friday is coming. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I don't want to get really excited. I mean, I am excited. I'm not collecting, SS benefits yet for it, so to be deducted. Oh, that makes sense. Oh my God. Honey Max, that sucks balls. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I'm so sorry. This country, I mean, what's Friday? Friday, I'm going out of town on Friday, actually. So that's a programming note we should talk about. Yes, I'm going to be out of the office. So we're actually not going to have a lounge this Friday night. And we probably won't have movies on Saturday because I'm going to be out of town. It's a big payment to come up with 4 times a year. That's a lot of money. It's so dumb. I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was a quarterly thing. I mean, even monthly would be, I mean, obviously it's the same amount of money, so it's hard, but still. I don't know. Quarterly seems unusual. Oh my God. Here goes my nose again. Here goes my nose again. Running like it's got a little cold. Oh my God. I should have blown my nose. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the 420 music and I'm going to go change the fire and I'm going to go blow my nose. All right. We're just going to take care of business like an adult. Okay. So here I go.
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.
Don't you know it's true?
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.
I'm back. How come that turns off every time? Like the smoke weed every day turns off when I go away from that scene, but the other ones don't. Oh, I don't understand. Anyways, good day, my friends. I'm sorry it's Monday, and I'm sorry this world is so fucking crazy. I'm so tired of stupid people running our shit. Enough your 420, everyone. I'm off to physical therapy. Oh, all right, bub. Kevin, have a good time. I hope it's not painful. I think physical therapy can be one of those things that can be really painful, and then you feel okay. Or it could just be painful, and then you're like, wow, I don't want to do that again. I really hope. Oh, I love you, Kev. Take care of yourself, Kevin. I'm glad to see you. Pain and torture. Oh, I'm going to tell you, though, I'm just going to say this because it won't mean anything, but maybe it will. I had physical therapy, and I remember it being pain and torture, but then I really did actually get some benefit out of it. I certainly hope you get benefit out of it for all the trouble you have to go through. Let's hope that's the case. Hi, Stephanie. But good luck, Kev. Hang in there, bud. I'm real glad to see you pop in here, okay? That really makes me feel good. I'm glad. It's just like a health insurance premium, but for the government program. If you have Medicare Advantage, you also pay another premium. Oh, my God. Most people do because medications aren't covered by Medicare Part B. Yeah, I hope goes well, Kev. Steph and Teresa, hello, how you doing? I have a long way to be. Girl, I hear you. But you know what? You're putting one foot in front of the other. As painful as it is, you're doing it. Okay? So you need to just keep showing up as much as you can because you're doing the right thing. And we're holding you in our thoughts around that, Kev. Okay? My bud. My little Kevin. I hope you're all right. Let's see. What is happening? Well, yeah, we've got a war. As expensive as it sounds, it's the best deal going unless you're on Medicaid. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's absolutely something that everybody should be on, frankly. I think if everybody had that's like $200, $210 a month per person, that would be okay. That might be a reasonable price to pay if you had, comprehensive insurance and things, which I realize Medicare is not comprehensive necessarily. I mean, it is and it isn't. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I was repeatedly told no pain, no gain. I know that's so true, Teresa. They do that all the time in physical therapy. They always tell you, oh, it's okay. Come on. You got to work through it. And you're like, I think my tendon's going to split. No, it's not. All right. Well, enough of this Monday's bullshit. Let's see what we got here. What do we got here? I got a lot of stuff to read to you today. I got a lot of stuff to read to you. Got a lot of stuff to read to you today. I don't know if there's anything happening like in the real world. I didn't even check that. I guess I should check that. Is anything happening in the real world? This is what I watch most of the time now. I do watch other things, but I also watch this. Wait, hold on. I need to take the sound off. But I watch these two chicks are sailing the world. I don't really know their story. I guess I should figure out their story. But they have this live feed on their sailboat the whole time. It's so good to watch. Anyway, and I love sailing, so I'm all into boats. But yeah, so I'll put this in the link because I really enjoy this this live stream. It's really nice. So way to go, Mara and Gabby, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. I guess they're just sailing the Atlantic Ocean. That seems scary though. I've known a lot of people have done that, but still seems really scary to me. Blue water sailing is kind of scary, I think. But what do I know? Anyway, so we'll just check in. The girls seem to be doing fine. They're still sailing right along, which is great. So I recommend them. That'll help. Hope Karen is doing. Oh, I know. Where is Karen? Wait a minute. Where is Karen? Doesn't that look beautiful? I'm sorry. Doesn't that look gorgeous? It's just stunning. It's a stunning. I love that. I love sailing so much. I love being on the water. Ugh. If I could live on a boat again, I would run to. If someone would say, here's a boat, you can live on it, I'd be like, okay. I do. I just love it. Nice day out on the open ocean, not thinking about real things. Although I suppose you're thinking about real things, and you're definitely thinking about survival, so I guess that gets really real. But, yeah. I don't know. Good sleep. Oh, I love sleeping on a boat. Oh, hell to the fucking yeah. No, I lived on a boat for a few years. I absolutely loved it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. You get nervous if you can't see land. I understand that. 100%. I mean, I'm scared of the ocean. I mean, I love the ocean and I'm scared of the ocean. Does that make sense? And I love boats and I'm scared of boats because boats are very powerful and they can sink. So it's important to take care of your boats. But yeah, if I had a chance to get back on a boat, I would do it in a millisecond. A millisecond, I would move on. Okay, so, but we have other things we need to do. So we can't just be out here sailing the ocean blue all day long. We got real terrible stuff. If you got them, Liz Clark has a website called Swell Voyage. She's sailing around the Pacific. Oh, Jim, I will definitely check her out. Liz Clark, Swell Voyage. I'm just going to pull it up so I don't lose track of that. Wow. Oh. She has a kitty on her surfboard. Hold on. Oops, wrong one. She has a kitty on her surfboard. Oh, whoops. Can't see it. Okay. Swell's a magazine, isn't it? Voyage of Swell. Swell's a surf magazine. Oh, she must be sponsored by Swell. That's cool. Oh, no, she's not. Patagonia. That's pretty good. Well, that's pretty cool. What's her boat? Does she say what her boat is? Like, about us, about Swell. Swell was built in 1966, the 68th Cal 40 to come out of Janssen Marine. At purchase, Swell was in decent condition, but her light coastal use and relatively old age left her in need of, that's an old boat, of more work than we'd originally presumed necessary to prepare her for offshore voyaging. I worked with local marine professionals to overhaul Swell and simultaneously learn about safety equipment, mechanics, electrical systems, rigging, sail, and fiberglass repair. The 18,000 miles of safe sailing behind me are a testament to the quality of work and profound expertise of those who helped me along the way. Wow, what's the length of it? Oh, it must be a 40. Interesting. Oh, okay, it's got a cabin up above. Noise. These brave women out there doing things. Yeah, doing things. You know what I think I'll do? I'll take my camera and I'll move it down. Where's my oh, there it is. Yeah. There we go. All right, let's read some stuff today. I don't see, is there anything like news conferencey? Let me just make sure I didn't really check. I wasn't really focused. Let's see. Scooby dooby doo, scooby doo. Scooby dooby. Dooby dooby. Oh my god. Okay. Right. I'm giving you a timeline for all the DOJ things now because everybody's going to get in trouble. Let's see. Oh, the GOP is moving to fund DHS. Who gives a shit? You know, I need Lindsey Graham to go ahead and just drop dead. I mean, I think his time. I think he's had his time. He's had his moment. I think he should just drop dead somehow. I don't know. That's just my advice. I don't have anything to do with it, but you know, if I had my preference, he wouldn't be like speaking. I mean, he could speak like if he just was a guy sitting on his porch. I have no problem with that. He could survive then. But if he's going to be like in the Senate or whatever, I think he needs to just exit stage left. Okay, so there's really not much coming up on my fucked up algorithm. Okay, let's read. Let's read. After Jaws 1, I didn't even want to go in a pool. I totally understand. I don't know if we should all be in the same boat. I fear a mutiny somewhere along the line, Neil. Sharon Gray. I haven't had any caffeine. I'm actually functional. Whoop, whoop. It's a Monday, man. Good morning. Is it Rissa? Is it dead yet? It's not dead, Rissa. I'm so sorry to inform you. I'm so sorry. I wish that was not the case, but that's where we're at. He's not dead yet. But he is about to be on, leaving Las Vegas level drug taking, so that's fine. No secret nukes on the boat. Yeah, no secret nukes. No. I don't. Oh, so sorry. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's see. He doesn't deserve a porch. I agree. Well, he doesn't deserve a porch, but I just want him to shut up. Okay, like if he can't just drop dead like organically, then I need him to just shut up. That's all. Okay, like that's all I'm asking. Anyway. All right. I found let's see. Did I find this or did somebody else find it for me? I don't know. Might have been. It's probably a Tina or a Teresa find. Those are my beautiful, like, man, those women come up with the best fucking links. Okay. All right. Let's read. Podcasters. Let me move this so I can actually see it. Nope. Don't do that. I had some time off 1 year, so I sailed down the Chesapeake Bay and circumvented the eastern shore while reading Chesapeake by James Michener. Yeah. You just sailed down the Chesapeake, Jim? Got in your boat, sailed down the Chesapeake. That's nice. That's nice. It must be nice. I don't know what it's like to have that much money. I really don't. I never will either because I'm just about done with this life cycle. But I just don't understand. I can't even rent an apartment right now, Jim. Okay? I can't rent an apartment. So forgive me if I am not really... Whatever. That's fine. Ibogaine. What is Ibogaine? Ibogaine clinics ring the continental U.S. I considered trying it for smoking until I realized all I had to do was stop buying cigarettes. That's really good. That's hard. Oh, my God. Yeah, one morning, Riss, we're going to open up the show with an actual death null. I guess I don't have the death thing on here. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me show you what I have prepared for the death, though. I've already prepared. I prepared last August, actually. That's how I prepared. It's Mr. Spock! It's 420! Mr. Spock!
Now make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Now make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Now make sure you smoke.
Mr. Spock, how are you? It does sound like a great trip. It's a beautiful area. Maybe we should just listen to music you DJ that day, that one final day, that one fine day. Yeah, we could definitely do that. I've got the playlist. But wait, let me get this piece of media that I had up here. Hold on. Oh no, out of source here. Death Watch. I'm going to call it Death Watch. Okay, because that's what I was pretty much thinking it was. Death Watch. Oops. Death Watch. Deathy Watch. Deathy Watch. Here we go. Is this it? Which one is it? I don't know if I... Oh, yeah, that's the original one. Okay, oops, maybe this is the one. All right. Yep, this is it. This is what I have prepared. I prepared this for I prepared this for his death in August. Come on, blood clot. So this is my thumbnail. When we have a death or it's gonna come, I can change this real easily. But no, this is I made this, and it's a big candle field, right? You know, and there's the White House in the distance, lots of candles and shit. And then it says faith over fear. That's right, faith over fear. And it's dancing for you. Death Watch. So anyway, that's what I have prepared in case we've got, the situation. I have martinis and champagne on ice ready for that day. Carrie! I don't drink, but I will on that day. Well, that's worthy. That's a worthy moment. Jane, isn't it the largest bay that is a tidal estuary? I've already forgotten Spaced Out Trivia's geography lesson. No, it wasn't. Was it Chesapeake or was it something else? Val, my desert sister, is here. Happy 420. Thank you for wishing us a happy 420. Teresa, did you see where DeGeneva is taking up the Brennan case since the prosecutor was let go? Wait, DeGeneva? Are you talking about Joe Genovese? No, not that guy, right? Space Out Trivia. Just, you know what? It kind of does educate us. That's right. Okay, girl, everyone can laugh at Spaced Out Trivia, but I walk away learning something, or learning that something is wrong. What's Joe Rogan doing? Well, Joe Rogan loves to take drugs, and he's a real drug kind of guy. And so he convinced the president that the president should also take drugs, which, whatever. Anyway, so this is a Mother Jones piece from a couple days ago, is it? Yeah, a couple days ago, Saturday. Podcasters, Presidents, and Psychedelics, how Joe Rogan got dumped into Ibogaine, which is interesting that it was a Saturday morning conference. It was kind of a weird news conference for a Saturday morning. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought it was kind of dumb. And then he's like, I want to take Ibogaine. And we're like, you should. A lot of it. Can you imagine him having a bad trip? Oh, my God. No, we don't want Trump on a bad trip. Google searches spike during Spaced Out Trivia. Exactly. We actually move algorithms in this lounge. Damn it. All right, but here's what Joe Rogan is doing. He's gotten everybody to take psychedelics. All right, Trump's executive order on psychedelics research could make some rich men richer. Oh, shocker. 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 Oh, boy. Joe Rogan hugs W. Brian Hubbard, CEO of Americans for Ibogaine, during the executive order signing ceremony in the Oval Office. Well, yeah, everybody's just made a ton of money. President Trump signed an executive order on Saturday calling for the acceleration of research on certain psychedelic drugs as treatments for depression and other conditions. Podcaster Joe Rogan stood with him as he signed the order, and Trump indicated that Rogan was a major inspiration behind the push to fast-track legalizing Ibogaine, which is used outside the United States to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. Rogan has championed Ibogaine for years. A year ago on his podcast, he said, Ibogaine in particular has helped a lot of people. It gives you like a review of your life, apparently. That sounds terrible. 2 weeks ago, he interviewed the CEO of Americans for Ibogaine, who also stood by Trump as Trump signed his order to ease access to the drug. Rogan's relationship with Trump has recently been strained as the podcaster critiqued the president's war on Iran. Trump, in response, referred to Rogan as a liberal, a charge Rogan would likely deny. But Rogan's text to Trump, he told reporters, were what brought this to fruition. Sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Rogan said. Trump responded. It was literally that quick. What? What? This is so dumb. That's not how the world is supposed to work. I'm so sorry to tell everybody that that's a bad thing. When the president can turn around and go, oh, bida, that's a bad thing. That's not good. This is like Dunning-Kruger level management. This is, I don't know how to manage because I've only run a family business where I basically was scraping off the top and creating stupid loans that I wouldn't pay back. Okay? That's what Trump knows how to do. He doesn't know how to work in a company that has employees that aren't his children. I can't. Well, guess who's going to make money off of this? This is probably why the president can say it so quickly. Rogan isn't the only nationally prominent figure pushing psychedelics. The drug's path to legitimacy is fueled by early stage investors hoping to stake their claim to a market many view as the next cannabis. I'm so sad. Like, I don't think rich people should be involved with drugs. Okay? Leave drugs alone. Leave drugs to us. Yeah, Joe Rogan. Leave the drugs to the poor people. Stop fucking with our drugs. You're not cool. Billionaire tech investor and antichrist Peter Thiel has spent the better part of the past decade investing heavily in psychedelic pharmaceutical companies. He's a major backer of Compass Pathways, a British company seeking to commercialize psilocybin, the psychoactive ingredient in magic mushrooms, in particular for therapeutic use. He's also invested in Atai Beckley, a German company working on hallucinogens. On Thursday, the stocks of both companies spiked on news that Trump would likely be giving his stamp of approval to ibogaine this weekend. Another financial beneficiary might be the state of Texas. Like, these are the worst people getting advantage of something that is supposed to be cool. To the tune of $50 million. And there's the Mercer Family Foundation. Fucking hell. A major conservative grant maker that helped get Trump elected, which has donated over $1 million towards psychedelic-related treatments for PTSD and combat veterans. At the White House Saturday, Trump didn't talk much about the money behind all this. Instead, he asked if he could get some ibogaine. Can I have some, please? He said, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't have time to be depressed. If you stay busy enough, maybe that's what works, too. That's what I do. Go to prison. Go to prison. Damn it. Who knew that a story about having drugs legalized could make me mad? Wait, which chicken? What are we talking about, chickens? Similar to ayahuasca, it's been called akin to 20 years of therapy in one session. Oh, I mean, bring it on. I'll take it. I don't have that much time left to live. I'd like to be a little happier during this remaining time that I have. A lot happier, frankly. Okay, let's go on to the next depressing things. Do I want this one? I don't think I do. God, I always do this. I always pull things up and I'm like, meh. Oh, this one I did want to. This one I want to read. Okay, this one's going to be a bit of a long one. Roast chicken is 3 days food for me and old Hector. Oh, the baby kitty. The baby kitty. We have shrooms growing everywhere on this land in the fall. Wow. Like shrooms or like good eating mushrooms? Which would be great. Either one would be fine. Okay, I have a chicken paradox problem. Only have 2 hens, but Bright Eyes beats up on 7 of 9. I have to keep them separated, so I rotate them in brooder jail. I gotta build a confined chicken run. Oh, Mr. Spock. I think that's so great. I think it's so great. I love your chickens. I love that. I love chickens. I think chickens are great. and great animals to have. I'm not good at that stuff, but I was friends with someone who had an urban chicken coop, and she did such a beautiful job. I love that. I thought that was great. Moonstar is here. Welcome back, Moonstar. Welcome back. I can't see anybody. Oh, there you are. Good morning. Oh, happy 420. That's right. Oh, yeah, I was smoking, right? I forgot. I let it go out. It's risky to take if you have comorbidities. A rough trip described as grueling can be fatal, though you don't puke for hours, as with ayahuasca. I had a girlfriend who tried to get me to take ayahuasca. I never did do that. I didn't think it was for me. I didn't think it was for me. But you know what? If something's going to make me not depressed, I'll take it. I need it. I need it. I will take it. I will take it. Life is too hard sometimes. Okay, here we go. Syrian billionaires. I think this was a Tina. Hold on. Or a Teresa, or both of them. Oh, maybe it's not. Okay. Syrian billionaires needed a favor in Washington. They invoked the Trump name. The attempt by the Kayats? I'm so sorry if I say that wrong. To influence foreign policy while discussions are underway about potential Trump family deals is an increasingly common feature of the president's second term. In fact, one would say it is the feature. Wouldn't one? Last summer, Representative Joe Wilson, Republican of South Carolina, sat in his Capitol Hill office rapt attention as Middle Eastern investors laid out their plans in a video call to develop coastal property in Syria. A cruise ship port, a polo club, a Bugatti car showroom. Oh my God. A world-class golf course, all in a country that had just recently been torn apart by civil war. Nor was this everything. While Mohammed al-Khayat, a powerful Syrian-born businessman, was pitching the proposal, his brothers were winning more than $12 billion in government-sponsored contracts to rebuild a wide swath of the devastated Syrian economy. There was a hitch, though. The Khayats needed a big favor from Congress with the support of President Trump, the permanent lifting of crippling sanctions imposed on Syria before the fall of President Bashar al-Assad in late 2024. That is when Mr. Wilson, himself a former real estate lawyer with a proponent of the sanctions repeal, offered a tactical suggestion. I know how to get the president's attention, Mr. Wilson said. Make it a Trump national golf course in Syria. Joe Wilson. Mohammed al-Khayat was already a step ahead. He said he had planned to propose a Trump-branded resort. At the same time, his two older brothers were negotiating an even bigger real estate partnership with Ivanka Trump, the president's elder daughter, and Jared Kushner, her husband, to help them finance a multi-billion-dollar resort in Albania. Wow, there's a lot of money being made while we starve. Such a mixing of personal and diplomatic affairs has long been the norm in Middle Eastern nations where a small set of players have historically run and profited from their dominant role in society. But it has become the way Washington operates in Mr. Trump's second term, too. Business discussions involving the president's family, be it merely aspirational, like the golf course, or active, like Mr. Kushner's project, are consistently blurred with important policy decisions or consequential nation-to-nation negotiations. And here's the tree. There's Mutaz Ramez and Mohammed al-Khayat. Billionaire investors. Mohammed lobbied for repeal of U.S. sanctions on Syria, negotiated a deal to help finance and build a luxury hotel compound in Albania with Ivanka and Jared, floated a plan to build a golf course in Syria named for President Trump, but the Trump Organization says there is no deal or discussion underway. It is also a sign of how powerful Mr. Trump has become. To get almost anything done in the nation's capital requires not alienating a vexed and vengeful president and ideally pleasing him. Other presidents, both Democratic and Republican, have taken steps to avoid even the perception of a conflict of interest, while in Mr. Trump's world it is almost the reverse. Oh my God. The family has been open that it intends to keep doing business deals around the world. That has led to a warped system of executive patronage in which investors donate millions to the president's pet projects or invest alongside the Trump family in hopes of achieving their policy goals, even if no explicit ask is never made. In fact, the White House and Trump Organization assert that they were not aware of the proposed Trump golf resort for Syria, and the Trump Organization said that no discussions were underway. Don't you believe them? And White House officials rejected any suggestion that Trump family-related real estate discussions had any impact on the president's foreign policy choices related to Syria. President Trump performs his constitutional duties in an ethically sound manner, and to suggest otherwise is either ill-informed or malicious, David Warrington, the White House counsel, said in a statement. I just don't know why we don't overthrow this government. I really don't. I was thinking about that this morning, and I'm going to get spicy here. Oh, my God. This is not a war we should be fighting. This is not a war we should be fighting. We should not support this war. And I don't know how we pull ourselves. I don't know who has the leverage to overcome what is happening in this country, but it's getting, I can't, I need us to do something. And I guess it's midterms, but I'm like, I feel like that's pissing on a house fire. This regime needs to be removed. Like removed. And I don't know how that, I wish in my heart of hearts that the entire military structure would turn their backs on this president. I really wish that, because that to me is the only people right now with any leverage over this regime are the people fighting the war. And I realize that they may not have leverage, but I refuse to believe that the higher up people do not have leverage. And I heard a story, which we'll probably read. I don't know if I picked it up, but we'll read about. And I knew this was the case because the weekend when the people were being saved, those two guys were being saved, the weekend when that was happening, Trump was silent. Remember, that's when we thought he was dead. But it turns out they were just hiding him and keeping him out of briefings because they didn't want him to fuck up and tell people where the soldiers were. What? Now, the military leadership should be standing up to that and saying, no, I don't want a military coup in this country because I don't think those change. I just don't know where we go with this. People are dying. Like, I don't understand. I'm sorry. I just really don't understand how this is just so fucking obvious. This is the biggest bullshit. You should go to hell, David Warrington. You should burn up. Like, immolate right now, because this is so untrue. Everything about that sentence is untrue. The Hayat family also said their financial partnership with Mr. Kushner was unrelated to the sanctions repeal effort. Bullshit. That's just bullshit. That is 100% bullshit. Fuck. The Hayats are involved in numerous redevelopment projects or proposals in Syria, including reconstructing war-torn villages like Jobar, rebuilding the Damascus International Airport, and buying up historic homes in Damascus's old city with plans to create new tourist destination. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle had favored lifting the sanctions to enable Syria to draw the hundreds of billions of dollars that would be needed to repair the devastated country. Mr. Trump himself had been in favor of lifting them early in his current term and did so temporarily last spring. Still, some members of Congress were reluctant to repeal the legislation permanently without leverage in case the new Syrian regime turned out as brutal as the old one had been. Or maybe just not brutal in the way they needed them to be. The golf course proposal became part of a lobbying effort on Capitol Hill, a hint of how simply invoking the Trump brand has become politically advantageous to certain political causes. Mohammed al-Hayat returned to Washington late last year, toting a special stone celebrating the proposed golf course carved with the Trump family emblem. He presented it to Mr. Wilson in his Capitol Hill office to deliver to the White House. Mr. al-Hayat then joined meetings with other lawmakers to push the sanctions repeal. Weeks later, legislation for a permanent repeal won approval in Congress and was signed into law by Mr. Trump in late December. The Dump and Kayat families came together at an Italian restaurant in Doha in 2022. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner were in Qatar for the World Cup soccer matches, and they dined at Carbone Doha, an extension of the New York City restaurant that sits on an island with a view of Doha's impressive skyline. The restaurant's owner worked his way over to meet the famous diners. It turned out that Ramaz Al Khayat and his family owned not just Carbone Doha, but every restaurant along that street on an artificial island the family had built in just 6 months at the request of the Qatari royal family to create an entertainment zone for the World Cup. Oh, boy. There it is. There's Carbone Doha. Really great. The Khayat brothers built an artificial island. Oh, that's the photo caption. Soon the Kushners and Khayats were sharing their histories as scions of real estate developers along with their dreams for the future. Mr. Kushner had recently tapped Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds, including those from Qatar, to set up a $3 billion private equity firm after serving in the White House during Mr. Dump's first term. Now he had designs on building a multi-billion-dollar resort on an island off the coast of Albania, not too different from the one he was sitting on, in fact. Ramez and his brothers had moved to Qatar full-time in 2011. The Khayats developed a relationship with the Qatari royal family and built them a mountaintop vacation palace outside of Damascus. Do you understand how many people in those countries are in poverty and trafficked into that country to do these construction projects? Do you understand how many people from Nepal, from India, are trafficked into the Middle Eastern states to do all these things? Like, it's absurd. The wealth is absurd, and the disparity is absurd, and that's what they want us to be. They want us to be like the fucking Emirates. I don't want it. I think it's gross. I think their wealth is gross. I think they are gross people because they oppress everyone around them, and women are oppressed in those countries. It's gross. But of course, we're fine with that. We have no problem with that. We have a real problem with women being oppressed in Iran, but we have zero problem with women being oppressed in other parts of the Middle East. Great. So if you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. I get it. It was one of several high-profile projects that had grabbed headlines for the family, including a wild episode when, after several neighboring countries imposed a blockade in Qatar in 2017, they flew in thousands of cows to supply milk and other dairy products to the small oil-rich nation. I mean, didn't Jared actually get that blockade on Qatar? Like, now I can't remember the blockade, but that was a Jared production, right? If I'm not mistaken. I just can't believe this. Oh man, I'm so sad. It's so sad to me. Despite their success in Qatar, the Khayats never gave up hopes of returning to Syria in some way. In late 2024, two monumental events changed the Khayats' fortunes and set them up for some globe-trotting. Mr. al-Assad was deposed, and Mr. Dump was returned to the presidency. Weeks later, Ramez and his older brother Mutaz were on their way to Mr. Dump's inauguration. While in Washington for the festivities, the Khayats engaged with the parents of Mr. Kushner. They also met Michael Boulos, the spouse of Tiffany Trump, the president's younger daughter, as well as Mr. Boulos's father, Massad Boulos, who had helped coordinate outreach to Syrian American voters during Mr. Dump's re-election campaign, photographs posted on social media show. Amazing experience, Ramez Al Khayat, 41, said of recalling the event and an inauguration dinner they attended during a recent interview. Once in a lifetime. You know what? I hope it is once in a lifetime for you, you fuck. You fucking fuck. Access to the candlelight dinner generally required a minimum donation. I know what I didn't do. I didn't take my pills this morning. That's one of the problems. Access to the candlelight dinner generally required a minimum donation of $250,000 for a pair of tickets. Ramaz Al Khayat, $250,000, said that a number of foreign business executives were invited and that he and his older brother had not paid for the invitation. That same month, the Khayyat family members flew to Damascus to visit with the new president of Syria. The president, Ahmad al-Shara, only weeks earlier had been a rebel leader with a $10 million anti-terrorism bounty on him from the United States. Now he was in charge, but of a country that in tatters. Much of its infrastructure needed to be rebuilt. Well, no problem. The Khayyat family was a natural pick to get these projects jump-started. We're ready to move, and we're ready to move fast, Ramaz al-Khayyat said, recalling his message to the new Syrian leader. An extraordinary string of deals in Syria emerged. The Khayyats and their partners were granted a $4 billion deal to rebuild the decrepit airport into a Middle Eastern hub and another $7 billion contract to build 4 natural gas-powered electric plants. They negotiated a third deal to work with U.S.-based Chevron to develop offshore natural gas drilling sites in the Mediterranean off the coast of Syria. Tom Barrack, the president's special envoy to Syria and pardoned felon, has cheered along the Khayyat brothers, joining with them for each of these announcements, making it clear that the Dump administration supported the projects. Barrack is also the envoy to Syria. It is mentioned that. Okay. Ramaz al-Khayyat has also been buying up historic homes in Damascus' Old City, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, due to its status as one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities, with plans to create a tourist destination. Oh, wow, that's really beautiful. Up the Syrian coast, Mohammed al-Khayyat was working on his plan for the cruise ship terminal and resort where the Trump-branded golf course would be included, a project that would be built on land controlled by the Syrian government. But there was a problem with each of these deals. They all hinged on getting the U.S. sanctions permanently repealed. That is because international banks and other investors would not commit the capital needed to finance these efforts unless they could be assured that once the sanctions passed under the 2019 Syria Civilian Protection Act were repealed, they could not be snapped back into place. Named after the Syrian photographer who documented torture in Mr. al-Assad's prison, the act was not only severely restrictive on the country and its trading partners, it also mandated sanctions on those profiting off the Syrian conflict by engaging in reconstruction activities. We were all waiting for this minute for the sanctions to be lifted permanently, and it's a great thing for Syria, Ramaz al-Khayyat said. The wooing of Congress began in the spring. Free flights to Syria were being offered to some members of Congress. Repealing the sanctions was broadly supported by Syrian American groups and some lawmakers. They argued the move would boost Syria's recovery by encouraging more foreign investment now that Mr. al-Assad was gone. A chunk of the heavy lifting in Washington was done by a Syrian-American businessman, Tarek Nemo, a lifelong friend of Mohammed al-Khayyat, who acknowledged in an interview that he was working on the proposed Trump golf course project. Mr. Nemo, who is based in Florida and runs an investment firm that said had done deals with partners, including the Qatari Investment Authority, began with his wife to court at least a dozen members of Congress, starting with Speaker Mike Little Johnson. Oh, there he is. Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm here to take your wife. No, that's what he looks like. He's so fucking evil. God, you look like a dick. Sorry. The access was facilitated by a series of campaign contributions, records show, by Mr. Nemo, his wife, and others who were championing the cause. Get money out of fucking politics. Let me check in with chat because there's a lot of stuff happening here. There's a lot. Apparently the flooding was so bad. Wait a minute. Where's the flooding? Oh. Where is the flooding? Meowing Star, good morning. I had some GT for about 4 years and they were just fine. I think Detroit should put a PGA grade golf course downtown. Could be good for tourism. If it started a big tournament, there's land for it. Oh. Cool. How did you store them, Moonstar? Oh, wait. Here, I read somewhere where shrooms lose potency like 10% a month if not stored properly. IDK if that's true. Jamie Raskin is trying for something. Oh, yeah. He's trying for some kind of, I don't know. Feels like pissing in the wind, but I guess it's good we're doing something. Near the old Coleman Young Airport. I bet Oakland County would not allow it. Oakland Hills was badly flooded last week. Oh, no. In a Ziploc baggie with a humidifying pack inside, another freezer bag. Pain in the rump getting in and out, but worth it. Unification Day or bust. What's that mean? More economic manipulation on a massive scale. Mr. Global had a good episode on controlled chaos in the economy. Oh, that's interesting. I have to watch that. May 1st. Money is the problem. I agree. Apparently, flooding was so bad up here, Lee, that many of the bridges either washed out or at critical risk and shut down. Whoa! 5+ mile detour for farther for some folks. Oh, shit. Yeah, I know. I don't. Why not? Oh, why hold back? I saw up north flooding, especially around Sheboygan. I was wondering if you were okay. Tunnel of trees and a highway in Rogers. Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't mind having goats. I hadn't heard that the tunnel of trees washed out. That's sad. I would take it as a scenic route home from the festival. Oh. Off topic, Patel has filed a defamation. I know. Honey Max, isn't that great? Thankfully, I'm not affected. Good. 420 alert. Yep. All right, let me make sure. The blessing of the Kohanimi. I don't know what that means. He's suing for 200. Yeah, he's also suing Jim Stewartson for calling him a chud. Okay. Literally, Kash Patel is suing Jim Stewartson for, I don't know, $10 million for calling him a chud. So go fuck yourselves. And anybody who has Jim Stewartson's name in their handle because they think they're being funny, go fuck yourself, you stupid idiot. They had to close I-10 in Houston on Saturday due to flooding. We had a couple. Oh, God, that's terrible. Sweet jelly. Oh, my God. I couldn't do that, but it sounds like it's good. Close to the edge of the lake, Algonquin's, oh, my God, old lake edge, what drained and turned into Lake Michigan. So it's a natural terracing that directs any flooding down to the bay. Oh. All right, I got it. You know what? Mr. Spock is right. Because we're not done with this article. And I have to smoke. We're about halfway done. Oh, the sounds of 420. Mushroom jelly. I mean, I would eat it. If it would get me high, I'd eat it. It would turn off my brain. I would eat it. Mr. Wilson, the South Carolina Republican, was a particular target. He looks like an easy mark. Mr. Namo became a social partner for the lawmaker, joining with him to shoot skeet, catching up with him at Omni Homestead Resort in Hot Springs, Virginia, and attending a Kennedy Center performance of Les Mis with him and other dump allies. And it was a community theater troupe. No, by June 2025, Mr. Wilson had introduced legislation calling for the complete repeal of the Caesar Act sanctions, because of course it was just a natural idea that he came up with on his own. As this frenzy of lobbying moved ahead, there remained a major roadblock. It was not, in fact, Mr. Trump. He was already sold. In May, Mr. Trump temporarily lifted the sanctions after a meeting in Riyadh with Mr. al-Shara and Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi ruling crown prince, who urged Mr. Trump to do so. The Saudis also want to be involved in the rebuilding of Syria. Of course. But Syria and investors like the Kayats still needed an act by Congress to make it permanent, and that is when they ran into a House lawmaker who emerged as the biggest obstacle. Representative Brian Mast, Republican of Florida and the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, remained concerned that revoking all the sanctions against Syria could leave ethnic and religious minorities there vulnerable to continued persecution and slaughter. The standoff came to a head on November 9th, the night before Mr. Trump was scheduled for a meeting with Mr. al-Shara, the first Syrian head of state to visit the White House since the country gained independence from France in 1946. At the St. Regis Hotel, 3 blocks from the White House, Mr. Mast and other members of Congress, including Mr. Wilson, joined Mr. al-Shara for a private dinner. It was an odd moment, recalled Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat of Connecticut, one of the attendees. After all, Mr. al-Shara was a former member of al-Qaeda in Iraq, directly targeting U.S. troops in Mosul 2 decades ago. Now, he was asking for help. Mr. Mast, a U.S. Army veteran who lost both of his legs in 2010 while serving as a bomb disposal technician in Afghanistan, was unsure if he could trust Mr. al-Shara, asking him at dinner, "We are no longer enemies?" Mr. al-Shara responded that he wanted to liberate his nation from the past, Mr. Mast recalled at a House hearing in February. No mention was made of the tie-ins to Trump family deals, Mr. Blumenthal said. Well, why didn't you bring them up? Dick. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with all of you? I guess I'm really angry today. Maybe I need this time away. Mohammed Al Khayat and Mr. Naimo had returned to Washington and were there at the hotel that night with a group of investors they were hoping would provide financing for their resort with the proposed Trump golf course. After the bipartisan dinner with lawmakers, a second late-night meeting with Mr. Mast and Mr. Al-Shara was hastily arranged that included Mr. Al-Khayat and Mr. Naimo. Participants in the meeting said. By the end of the conversations that night, Mr. Mast has shifted his stance. That's right, it only took one night, baby. For 20 years of doubt, one fucking night. He was prepared to support the sanctions repeal without a provision allowing them to be quickly reinstated. He explained his revised view later that month when speaking from the House floor. We're giving Syria a chance to chart a post-Assad future, he said. Yeah, that's right. Aides to Mr. Mast said the ties to the Trump family were not a factor in his decision. Why not? Before leaving Washington, Mr. Al-Khayat and Mr. Naimo presented the foundation stone for the proposed Trump golf course to Mr. Wilson and Representative Marlin Stutzman, Republican of Indiana. The framed stone, emblazoned with the words Trump International Golf Club Syria, signified what Mr. Al-Khayat called an emblem of future American economical opportunities in Syria. The sanctions repeal was inserted into the must-pass piece of legislation that authorizes nearly $1 trillion in annual Pentagon spending, 2 pages inside a 1,260-page law. Trump signed on December 18, 2025, almost exactly a year after the fall of Mr. al-Assad. Let me check in with my friends. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie says, why don't you find a video so you can take a few hits? It will help calm you down. I love you, Stephanie. You're such a sweetheart. I'm sorry you guys have to put up with me. Lake Algonquin drained about 1,000 years ago. Oh, I did not know that. It is horrible, but it works a lot. You only need a tiny amount. This whole level I live at is an old beach dune. Oh, so it's just sand once you get an inch down. Oh. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Convoys of Russian troops routinely travel the local highway along the coast of northern Syria on their way to a nearby Air Force base that Russia still controls. Not far away, there is a toppled statue of the former Syrian President Hafez al-Assad, father of Bashar al-Assad. One of the sculpture's arms was broken off, and its giant face was planted in the mud. Well, that's what happens. Everybody ends up on a wall. Off the highway, the edge of the Mediterranean Sea near the port city of Latakia, families grow cabbage, eggplants, grape leaves, and other crops in one of Syria's most fertile spots. This is the site. So farmlands are the site for the hoped-for Trump golf course. What's going to happen to those families? What's going to happen to those families? It sits in the region the Assad family comes from, and many locals, including Bashar al-Assad and several of his relatives, are members of a religious minority known as Alawites. The Assad Association explains in part why hundreds of area residents were massacred by bands of vigilantes last year in the weeks after his government fell. There is little hard information here about the status of the planned resort that could feature the Trump family name. But there are rumors among the local farmers like Sinan Yunus, 42, and his brothers who have worked this land for decades even though they do not own the property. Farming supplies the only income for 24 of their family members. What about us, Mr. Yunus wondered, as he and members of his family briefly paused from their task of planting eggplant seedlings one recent afternoon. How could they take all this for a reason like that? Why our land, the land that we live from? These questions only add to the tensions as the family still lives in fear that there could be another wave of violence targeting them and fellow Alawites. The eggplant harvest last year had to wait because Mr. Yunus said he had to use his farm truck to collect dead bodies of neighbors killed in the attacks. Oh, look at those cute goats. Those are cute. They're farming. Back in Washington, some members of Congress, including Mr. Really, Brian? Not good enough for you? Not good enough payoff? Well, I'm sure they'll fly you out to Syria to stay at the Trump resort and assuage your concerns. I don't believe that any of us thought transitions from the dictator Bashar al-Assad to now Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara would be without incident, Mr. Mass said in February at a House hearing examining recent progress in Syria. But we've already seen too many incidents, and in my opinion, too many incidents of sectarian violence against religious and ethnic minorities. But the leverage the United States had, the power to snap back the sanctions, is now gone, and getting Congress to reimpose them would be politically complicated. Yeah, that's how it works when you buy people's loyalty, is that you've created a situation where you can't make a normal decision. Think about what that sentence just said. Think about that. Politically complicated to do something that is supposed to help snap a government back into. I think sanctions personally just hurt people and not the governments. But I mean, see Russia. Okay. Sanctions haven't done fuck all to stop their wealth building. They're still going strong. So fuck sanctions to me don't actually do anything except for make people in the country suffer. Like someone on the radio, I think, was saying something like sanctions are made so that you get people to rise up against their government. When the fuck was that ever successful? I mean, maybe someone should put sanctions on us and test it out. I don't know. I'm just really fucking done. But the leverage the United States, blah, 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 blah. Foreign money from investors like the Kayats, meanwhile, continues to pour into Syria. It is on display at the Damascus airport, where even as a war is now being waged elsewhere across the Middle East, a fleet of earth-moving machines are busy ripping apart what remains of a 1960-era's airport terminal for the Kayats project. I just think we have to get rid of billionaires. I'm sorry. I think billionaires have to go. There you go. There's I'm really down on people today. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to be that sad, but this is where we're at. In addition, Mohammed Al-Khayat recently secured a license to serve as the exclusive importer of brands made by the American consumer products giant S.C. Johnson, such as Ziploc bags, Raid bug spray, and Glade air fresheners, which could not be directly sold in Syria until the sanctions were repealed. Separately, so it's really going to be the Al Hayat country. They're the oligarchs of that country. Great. Separately, in Albania, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump's mammoth seaside project is also moving apace. At first, the Kayats were simply going to serve as a construction firm on the resort, but over the last year, when the sanctions lobbying was taking place, the negotiations have shifted. Executives involved in the deal said Mr. Kushner and the Kayats have decided to become partners in the project. Ivanka Trump traveled there in January to meet with Ramaz Al-Khayat for a gathering with architects and other executives to discuss potential designs. Edi Rama, the Prime Minister of Albania, showed up. We're investing in the holding in order to make sure that there is sufficient capital, Ramaz Al-Khayat said. So it's a joint venture between two companies, and actually we're managing it together. A spokesman for Kushner declined to comment. There is also talk of the Kayats joining with Mr. Kushner to do real estate projects in Syria, given that the Caesar sanctions are gone. He's a great guy, and we try to do something great together, Ramaz Al-Khayat said, referring to Kushner. We are presenting many opportunities. If people only really realized. If people only really realized what is happening to them. Really interesting. I guess it's, well, maybe not interesting. Depressing? No. Let me check in with my beautiful chat. Wait, what are we going? Who's Mr. Spock? What? Bonus, my son got me a free bong on a res dispensary. Yes! He's doing the tour through the different dispensaries. Then he's headed up my way and going through the stores. 12 plus stores, 5 kilometers away. Wow, that's awesome. I need a bong. I need to get a bong. I'm going to get one. I'm gonna go get one today. Actually, I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna go to the head shop and get one today. I feel like a bong. I think a bong would be great. More interested in the capital they control. Yeah, I would be very interested to know. Are you talking about that? Oomph? I would be really interested. I mean, I just think that I think it'll happen on its own. I think there will be a rise up. Billionaires have feeling, the poor emotionally crippled billionaires. They are. Poor billionaires. God, I should stop being so mean. More interested. Yeah, I am interested in the capital they control. Absolutely. So that's about that. Now you've learned about the Syrian billionaires that are trying to fuck everything up. Every country has billionaires that are trying to fuck everything up. Bongs reduce the tar by 30%. Oh, really, Mr. Spock? I'm definitely doing that then. I love a good bong. I love a good bong hit. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I think I'll go out and get one today. Let's see here. Oh. What do I got? What do I got? Oh, yeah, we're going to read this too. God, there's just no good news. Where's all the good news, baby? Where's all the good news? Send me some good news, baby. Whoa. Wait. We got something.
Place because the Prime Minister never thought to ask.
Mr. Speaker, what happened in January was that developed vetting clearance was given by the Foreign Office. That was the simple fact of the matter. It was only last week I found out the further circumstance I've now set out to the House.
Paul Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the box note to the Prime Minister dated the 11th November 2024, the former Cabinet Secretary Simon Case.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Yes, it's Keir Starmer, and he's being asked questions about Peter Mandelson, the Epstein dude. You're welcome, Teresa.
Advised the Prime Minister that before appointing a political appointee, he should get security clearance before announcing. The Prime Minister ignored that advice. The Prime Minister's response in that box note is redacted. So I asked him a very simple question. What was his answer on that box note, and will he publish what he said?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I made it clear that my position was that the appointment was subject to developed vetting. I can't, in all conscience, remember what exactly was being redacted. Honestly, well, he's asking me what a redacted. I had done. The process I'd understood to be subject to developed vetting. That's why I asked Chris Wormald to look at the process and reference back to Simon Case.
I'm running this 10 more minutes, that's it. Paul Kohler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Foreign Office raised severe concerns regarding Peter Mandelson's links with Epstein, Russia and China in the due diligence report he received before the appointment was announced. The Prime Minister, however, brushed these concerns aside and announced Mandelson as ambassador nonetheless. Given what the due diligence exercise had already flagged, it was surely predictable Mandelson would fail security vetting for those reasons. But Number 10 had already told the Foreign Office, before Sir Ollie Robbins took up his post, to proceed with the appointment. Notwithstanding these issues, that's exactly what he did, by putting in place the necessary safeguards. So can the Prime Minister please explain why he's sacked a loyal and brilliant public servant?
Prime Minister.
Because he didn't bring to my attention information he should have brought to my attention. Had he done so, I wouldn't have made the appointment.
Mike Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister dissembles over what he knew about Sistema and Mandelson, but the Cabinet Office due diligence report sent to the Prime Minister on the 11th of December 2024 said Mandelson served as a non-executive director of the Russian conglomerate Sistema, which is itself a majority shareholder of RTI, a defence technology company. Mandelson remained on the board until June 2017, long after Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014. So will the Prime Minister finally confirm that he knew that Mandelson was a director of Sistema long after the invasion of Crimea, but appointed him anyway?
Very good.
As I've made clear, I did know what was in the due diligence report. I've made that clear to the House a number of times today. I've actually made it clear to the House on previous occasions.
Okay, Adam.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker, my concern is, Mr. Speaker, that this Prime Minister is going to run out of buses before he runs out of people to throw under them. And the issue is this, because the Prime Minister has said that he will never turn on his staff, and that you should never turn on your staff. Well, Sue Gray scapegoated, Tim Allen canned, Sir Chris Wormald forced out, Morgan McSweeney axed, and now Ollie Robbins is sacked. Will the Prime Minister accept that the buck stops with him, this is his fault, and do the honourable thing?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the information was withheld from me by FCDO in the circumstance I've set out to the House.
Louis French.
Mr. Speaker, my question to the Prime Minister is a straightforward one. Did Morgan McSweeney or any of your advisers, past and present, know about this issue before last Thursday?
No.
Claire Young.
Mr. Speaker, to override the outcome of the developed vetting process, the FCDO must have been under pressure from someone. Ditching a tried and tested ambassador for a high-risk one seems odd behaviour for a Prime Minister who claims to be so fond of proper process. So whose idea was it, and who was applying the pressure?
Mr. Speaker, can I just reject the idea that any pressure is a good reason not to disclose to the Prime Minister that UKSV recommended against clearance for a very senior, sensitive appointment. I simply don't accept that that's an adequate reason, whatever the pressure.
Dr. Kieran Mellon.
The Prime Minister is suggesting that the idea the security services had concerns about this appointment was a bolt out of the blue to him 2 weeks ago, despite the fact that it was on the front page of a national newspaper in September. But my question is not about the vetting file, because we all know the answer the Prime Minister is going to give. Separate to the vetting file, at any stage was he made aware of element of security services raising concerns about the appointment of Mandelson?
Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker. What I knew was that security clearance had been given by the Foreign Office in the way I've set out to the House.
Saoirse Eastwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituents in Lagan Valley and across Northern Ireland and across the UK will be disgusted that we have spent this amount of time discussing this issue when it should have been put to the fore the first time it came in the press. Does the Prime Minister understand that every time we do this and we go through this, we destroy the reputation of this place, no matter who the government of the day is? Your party don't even stand for election in my neck of the woods, so this is not party political. This is about protecting the reputation of this place. Do you understand?
Prime Minister.
That's why I wanted to give the House all the relevant information, which I've given at some length this afternoon.
Lincoln Job.
Thank you. So we have now established that the Prime Minister did indeed know that Peter Mandelson had been a director of Sistema when he appointed him. Why on earth would the Prime Minister be so reckless with our national security to do that?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've made it clear that I knew what was in the due diligence. I've also made it clear that FCDO granted security clearance before Peter Mandelson took up his post.
John Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's a simple question that we still don't have an answer to. Did Peter
I will
Mandelson
pick
fail
up
his
some of
vetting
that,
procedure
Mr. Spock.
because
Good
of
to
his
know.
relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, or was it some other reason as yet undisclosed?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the information that was fed into the review and the reasons for the review is protected because otherwise the integrity, this is not a Peter Mandelson issue, it's the integrity of the process. What I don't accept is that means I can't be told the recommendation that comes out of it.
Rebecca Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wonder if the Prime Minister knew the difference between the due diligence information from the Cabinet Office and the security vetting that hadn't taken place when he appointed Peter Mandelson on the 18th of December.
Prime Minister.
I did know the difference.
Pamela Pettigal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After years of sleaze and scandal under the previous government, the Prime Minister promised integrity and accountability. But my constituents in Stratford-on-Avon are not seeing change. They are seeing more of the same, a continuity government where warnings are ignored and standards slip. Why should anyone believe that he is still capable of delivering the change that he promised?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I made sure the relevant inquiries were made so I could put the full picture before the House. That is the approach that I've taken, as members have seen this afternoon.
Graham Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a humiliating day for the Prime Minister and for the House and for the whole country. And yet, even still, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister isn't being open with us. He's relying on some later
you stand
inquiry.
for Trump, sir?
When the Cabinet Secretary told him in writing, in the official briefing, that he must seek a vetting prior to the appointment of a political appointee. That's true. isn't it, Prime Minister? And can you give a straight answer, just for once?
As I say, the process was that the appointment was subject to developed vetting checks being carried out. Had I been made aware of the recommendation of UKSV, I wouldn't have made the appointment. What I did after the event was ask Sir Chris Wilmot to look back at the process, which he did according to and by reference to the Simon Case letter, and he assured me the process had been carried out properly.
Kruger.
Mr. Speaker, if Ollie Robbins could and should have provided this information to the Prime Minister.
Moonstar, Vapor Brothers?
As
the
he said
vaporizer
today,
from
surely the same
Vapor
applies
Brothers.
to
Oh, look at that.
Antonio Romeo and the Cabinet Office officials who sat on this information for nearly a month before bringing it to the Prime Minister when The Guardian started asking questions of number 10. So surely, why does he accept that they needed legal advice to do what he is saying should have been obvious? He sacked Ollie Robbins for not bringing him that information immediately. Why are they still in post?
Mr. Speaker, they acted entirely appropriately. They came across the information as part of the humble address exercise. They took legal advice on who it could be disclosed to and disclosed it to me as soon as they got that legal advice. That was the right thing to do.
And about subjective.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 4th of February, Peter Mandelson was notified by the Appointments and Interchange Officer from the FCDO that he required strap-level access in addition to his DV. He started the role on the 10th of February. On what date did Peter Mandelson receive strap-level access?
Prime Minister.
I don't know the precise date, but I'll endeavour to find out.
Law.
Mr. Speaker, given it's widely known Peter Mandelson was maintained a friendship with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, close links in both China and Russia in terms of business, sat from 2 government posts, what I really want to ask the Prime Minister is this. What are the unique, defining human qualities of the man I've just described that so attracted to you that he should be politically appointed as US Ambassador? And why now is he still defending him behind process instead of calling out what's wrong and taking the responsibility and resigning?
I'm not defending him behind process. I'm setting out the process to the House.
Dr. Neil Shasrihas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Quis custodiant ipsos custodes. The Prime Minister will know who will guard the guards themselves. With that in mind and holding those in power to account, can he explain why he took more than a week or almost a week to come to this House when the public will have been expecting answers much, much sooner?
Prime Minister.
Because I wanted to know who took the decision, the basis upon which they took it, and who knew about the decision, so I could set out a full account to the House, which is what I've done this afternoon.
Alistair.
Does it come to this, Mr. Speaker, that this House and the country is being asked to believe that though he is the Prime Minister, making the most critical diplomatic appointment that the United Kingdom can make, that he, the Prime Minister, in the midst of the raging controversy that provoked, never asked if his nominee had been security vetted? Isn't it that is staggering and incredible? And when it comes to our national security advisor...
That's crazy.
what
I've
was
never
his
even
role?
seen
What
this
does he know?
before.
Could the House be told that?
What the fuck?
Mr. Speaker, the attention on the process
Thank you,
began very much in
Moonstar.
September
I'm checking
25
into
when the
this.
Bloomberg emails,
Maybe I can save
were
my pennies.
published. That is when I agreed with the Cabinet Secretary to carry out a review of the entire process, and I've set
I
that out.
need to get, you know what I need to do? I need to get like sponsored by a weed company. Or sent products, a ball vape. What is that? What is that? What do you put in it? Dry herb. You just put your flower in it, right? Plug in, dial in, inhale. A ceramic chamber with a vapor path containing no plastic. I really dig this. An enclosed ball heater design. Is that harder to do? Is that harder to do than like a regular? Like, because I have a dab rig that you could get an attachment that does dry herb in the dab rig. Is that similar concept technology? The bong I have is a cheap one. Oh yeah, never buy a cheap one. That tube isn't plastic. I think it's probably rubber. It's probably like whatever a different material, right? Grace Lisa, yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, I'm fucking on this. I'm gonna save my pennies for this. It's expensive, but it sounds like might be worth it. Puff puff pass, hell yeah. I mean, this is my jam. Hopefully you can load a lot of flour in there, because I wouldn't want to have to keep refilling it. Yeah, you're gonna have to. I have to research that. That sounds really good, Moonstar. Way to go. Sounds good. But is it any different kind of flower? Or different? Is it different? Like, what is this ball thing? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? I know this isn't the weed show though. You came to hear Keir Starmer.
No.
David Reid.
Just kidding.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has chosen to blame his officials for this debacle. So can he confirm that he knows the names of the FCDO civil servants that made the decision to override UK SV on the 29th of January 2025, yes or no? And has he made the decision to spend them all from duty pending a full independent inquiry, yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, I've set out the facts to the House this afternoon. I have ordered a review by Strader and Fulford of security vetting so that if any further changes are needed, we can put them in place.
Sir Wrigley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand that Peter Mandelson's vetting clearance was conditional on him being accompanied to meetings with former clients such as Palantir. Will the Prime Minister clarify why there is no record of his and Peter Mandelson's meeting with Palantir in Washington, and will he tell the House what it was all about?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that was a routine meeting in the course of a visit I was on in the US.
Yeah, I have to check it out. I want to see what the chamber looks like and all
The
that.
Prime Minister is repeatedly telling us that he either was not told or he was not allowed to be told. But what culture has the Prime Minister created around him and across the civil service that no one felt that they could or should tell him this sensitive information?
Prime Minister.
I reminded her that in the last 2 weeks, my senior officials have brought this to my attention, which is what they have. Before The Guardian, they brought it to my attention on Tuesday evening. That is what led me to ask further questions and make this statement to the House.
Joshua Reynolds.
The Prime Minister once promised to end the chaos and to restore honesty and integrity to government. Does he think that appointing a man who called a convicted child sex offender his best pal and whose connections with Epstein were already well known is consistent with that promise? And if it isn't, will he step aside and let someone else end his chaos and restore honesty and integrity to government?
Mr. Speaker, I've accepted that I made an error in the appointment and apologised to the victims as I must and as I did.
Gregory Stafford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 4th of February, my right honourable friend, the Leader of the Opposition, asked the Prime Minister whether the vetting process had disclosed information about Epstein. The Prime Minister answered, yes, it did. In his response to my honourable friend, the member for New Forest West, he said, I've got confused between vetting and disclosure. But then in the answer to my friend, the honourable member for South West Devon, he said he knew the difference. So if that's not misleading the House, what is?
I was asked about the vetting process. The due diligence is part of the vetting process. Rather than, as it were, rest on a technicality, I gave the House the information that I had about what I knew from the due diligence. It was clear what the Leader of the Opposition was asking. It was about Epstein. I knew that was in the due process, due diligence, and that's why I told the House about it.
Adam Dance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister promised that, unlike the Tories, his government would govern well and restore public trust. Yet this whole sorry Mandelson saga has reinforced the belief in Yeovil and beyond that no government or politician can change. Can the Prime Minister explain to my constituents why he annoyed the then Cabinet Secretary's advice to get the security clearance before he confirmed Mandelson as ambassador?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've dealt with that issue on a number of occasions.
Right, that completes the number of questions. We'll let the front benches change over. Okay.
Oof. Gosh, those guys are like exhausting. I'm going to turn the sound down. I actually want to play something about Kash Patel. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Crash Patel. He is so dangerous. Crash Patel. He is malingerous. I don't know what that word is. I just made it up. Let's see. They have brought that article up several times already. I know, that's the thing. There's a ton of articles. The Guardian is going nutso balls about this. I could do a reviews of brands. Maybe I should just start doing that, Grace Lisa, and not be sponsored by. Although it'd be nice to be sent like new equipment. You know, like, oh, try this new fancy vaporizer, you know, that'd be fun. But at the same time, I don't want to be beholden to any brand, because then they're going to end up being like, you know, kitten killers or something like that. And then I'll have to go on the news explaining why I took weed products from kitten killers. I don't want to do that. I know where this is going. I watched a Brit talk about this last night. It's not something they have ever put up with. Keir's either new and has to go, or he's incompetent. Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, Jane, because I feel like this is another thing, too. It's that he was on the board of Sistema, which I don't know exactly. Is that a Russian? I just wanted to look that up. I think it's SIS. I thought it was a Spanish company, but I might be wrong. Sistema. No, I guess it's not. I have to look that up and see exactly. Maybe that's the investment firm? I'm not sure. Corporate governance. Anyway, I'll look that up because I am kind of interested in finding out what to do about that. It was a great, the cash Lego parody. Yeah, well, here's a little bit of about an hour ago, this was reported, and so we'll see what they have to say about how Crash is doing this morning. How you doing, Crash? Let's check in.
All right, we've got some breaking news. FBI Director Kash Patel just filed a defamation lawsuit against The Atlantic. The magazine published a report Friday accusing him of excessive drinking and regular absences. More than 24 sources, including current and former FBI officials, spoke with The Atlantic about Patel's alleged behavior. He denies the accusations. We brought back CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman. I hope you didn't make it too far, because when this news came through, we were like, let's get Katrina back and talk about the details. What do we know about this lawsuit?
So it was just filed. They're asking for $250 million in damages here. And with defamation, there is a higher standard when you're a public figure, but they claim that there is actual malice here, which basically means that they think The Atlantic published this with knowledge that they were publishing false information. They did that knowingly, he said. So he's refuting a lot of what we talked about earlier. They're saying that he hasn't been drinking excessively on the job.
They being his lawyers?
His lawyers, yes. His lawyers are claiming that a lot of these allegations that were in the Atlantic article aren't true. They call it a sweeping, malicious, and defamatory hit piece. They say that the Atlantic has basically a vendetta against Kash Patel, didn't give them enough time to respond. Apparently they gave them 2 hours to respond to detailed questions the other day. They say they asked for more time, but the Atlantic went ahead with this anyways. They have a long list of things that they refute, but one that they also mentioned in the article is supposedly he said that the FBI gear isn't intimidating enough. They say that that too is not true, along with these more serious allegations about him drinking excessively at certain establishments, causing meetings to be delayed, not being reachable, causing any issues with what is going on at the FBI. So they are strongly saying that this is not true.
But now there seems to be a new problem here, because as we spoke about this morning on the morning news, the Atlantic article opens with a description of Patel being unable to log into his computer system and thinking he had been fired. And that created a whole sequence of events throughout Washington that freaked a lot of people out. It made him seem paranoid and erratic. And now here we are a day or so later, and he's filing a lawsuit in which evidence would presumably have to be provided. The Atlantic is standing behind its reporting, more than a dozen people, I believe. So what are the risks from Patel saying, I actually want to sue you for defamation? Doesn't he have to prove that now?
I mean, absolutely. It means that this is going to be heavily scrutinized in court, but his legal defense team is going to try to prove that all of this is wrong. You know, it could absolutely backfire on him if people come forward and really stand by these allegations. At the same time, these people spoke to The Atlantic on the basis of anonymity. People don't necessarily want to put their face to these allegations. There are a lot of risks and repercussions to that.
He's spinning this on X. He tweeted on April 18th, we have that tweet, basically a memo to the fake news that basically keep talking. It means I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. No amount of BS you write will ever deter this FBI from making America safe again and taking down the criminals you love. That's a quote. $250 million is not cheap. How do these legal teams get to the number that they ask for when they're involving these suits?
I mean, that's a great question. They clearly have done.
Madam, Kash Patel is suing my friend Jim Stewartson for $10 million for calling him a chud. All right, this is a Kash Patel thing. He is very litigious. So, yeah.
In their own calculation of the damages, the emotional, the reputational harm. I'm sure a lot of it is based on that.
Mm-hmm. And here you're looking at video of Kash Patel celebrating with the U.S. hockey team.
After they won
Yeah, you can see Kash Patel not
Olympics.
drinking
Now,
there.
even this
because he
footage
doesn't
attracted
drink.
negative criticism from an
Yeah.
FBI director who he said he was there on official work business. He has
Yeah.
a beer in his hand as he's,
You
of
think?
course, celebrating a joyful win.
You
but he
think?
has
Who the
carried this
fuck is-
reputation
who are
with him
you?
that he drinks excessively. How then can his lawyers prove
What?
that what's in the Atlantic
you his
article
buddy?
is not true if the sources are anonymous?
Oh my God.
I mean, they're going to try to get people to say otherwise. They're
Really?
going
Is
to
that what
say-
they're gonna
I mean, we
do? Have you
see
talked to
him
the
drinking
Atlantic
there, but they're gonna
lawyers, you
claim,
idiot?
Oh, this was just, light drinking, celebration. But as we talked about, Errol, in the article, they claim that a source said President Trump called Kash Patel after that incident to chastise him for doing that in public. So we do have public evidence
I don't know
of
if he's
his
small or
drinking,
not.
but they're just going
He
to try
looks
to
kinda
prove
small,
that
though
it's not
hockey
excessive,
players
it
are
hasn't
big.
caused these specific problems, it hasn't delayed meetings, that all of these incidents have not actually taken place, and that the Atlantic published this without a real basis.
And that's actually no small detail. President Trump famously does not drink. His brother died after suffering with alcoholism. So the president has a specific type of disdain for any staffer who
God.
abuses
How do
alcohol
you know?
and is likely not.
How do you know? How do you know? Yeah, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. That's right. You're so. Oh my God. 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 Sorry, I can't handle the stupid CBS people. They don't even know what they're talking about. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, let's read. We'll read some stuff. I have some other things to read. Trump doesn't give a shit about. He doesn't give a shit about anybody, but he doesn't want to go to prison. You want to know what Trump cares about? He doesn't want to go to prison. That's what he cares about. I don't want to go to prison. That's it. Period. It's not hard. Oops. It's just not that hard. Figure it out. Yeah, the president is often visibly... Well, this idiot, the guy who's the newsreader, he doesn't... Like, you don't know what the president actually does. That's what the president says, you idiot. What the fuck are you reporting it as if it's some kind of given? This is what's wrong with journalism. Idiots like that, who are either complicit or stupid. God, I could do a better job than that. I would actually behave myself. Maybe. I'd be like that network show. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Everybody yell out your window. Okay, I wanted to read this one. U.S. defense official overseeing AI reaped millions selling XAI stock after the Pentagon entered into an agreement with the company. Oh, and look at him. He just looks like a fucking supervillain. Who the fuck is that? Who looks like that? Sorry, it's weird. A high-profile U.S. Defense Department official who oversees the agency's AI efforts made a profit of up to $24 million selling a private investment. A private investment? He held in Elon Musk's AI company earlier this year, according to a government ethics record released this month. The value of his stake totaled a maximum of $1 million when he joined the department. Emil Michael, who is the Pentagon's Undersecretary for Research and Engineering under the Trump administration, oversees negotiations with AI companies and has been pushing for Defense Department to rapidly increase the widespread use of AI. And wait, when was he appointed? In March 2025, he declared that he had a position in XAI valued between $500,000 and $1 million. Shouldn't he have been made to sell them or put them in trust? He sold those holdings on January of 9th, So that's like, 9 months later, for between 5 and 25 million. According to disclosures filed with the Office of Government Ethics, he reported that he owned XAI shares through a company called KQ Partners. Government financial disclosure reports are designed to show ranges of holdings rather than precise amounts. The increase in value amounts to a gain of between 400 and 4,800%. XAI, which is the company behind Musk's Grok chatbot, is not publicly traded, so it's unclear how Michael obtained his position. Exactly! How it was priced or to whom he sold it. What? During the period that Michael owned the XAI stock, the Pentagon announced 2 separate agreements with the firm. In July 2025, the Pentagon chose Grok as one of the 4 commercial providers that would help the department utilize artificial intelligence. On the 18th of December, 7 months into running the Pentagon's 7 months. So he was in, what's the 5th month? March? So he was hired in March. So he disclosed pretty much right away. All right. On the 18th of December, 7 months into running the Pentagon's research and engineering efforts, Michael received a divestiture certificate from the OGE that said he would sell his XAI stock to comply with conflict of interest laws in December. 4 days later, on the 22nd of December, the Defense Department, which now refers to itself as the Department of War, announced a new agreement with XAI. Today, the War Department officially entered into an agreement with XAI, paving the way for the deployment of its advanced capabilities on GenAI.mil. This move builds on the rapid deployment of cutting-edge AI across the department's 3 million military and civilian personnel. Michael did not ultimately sell his position, so that was on what? December 22nd. He sold his position on January 9th. Richard Painter, a former ethics lawyer at the White House and under President George Bush, said in general it was a criminal violation for government officials to participate in any government actions that would benefit their own financial interests. It sounds pretty weird, he said of the transactions. There's no way that a decent ethics lawyer would let a Defense Department official hold on to AI stock while he's involved in AI matters. You would have a very high chance of violating the criminal statute. Federal law prohibits officials from taking actions in their jobs that benefit their own financial interests. Well, they misread that part of the employee handbook, I'll say. The Pentagon did not respond to detailed questions, but sent a statement attributed to spokesperson Sean Parnell. The Department of War maintains a rigorous multi-layered ethics framework that includes a financial disclosure, reviews, divestitures where appropriate. Oh, I guess this wasn't appropriate, and screening to prevent conflicts of interest. Well, oops! The statement said Michael was in full compliance with all ethics laws and regulations. Any claims otherwise are false. Michael was sworn in as Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering last May. In recent months, he became the face of the Pentagon's highly public dispute with the AI contractor Anthropic. Oh. Isn't it interesting? Do you not find it very interesting that he had definitely had some kind of private relationship with Elon because he had private shares of XAI? Now, I'm sorry, I don't actually understand under what securities arrangement. I know there are private placements. I understand. I never dealt with those in my business, but that's very interesting. Wow, what a coincidence. Oh, wow. Gosh, I hope somebody looks into that. What was his relationship to Elon Musk and the company XAI? It actually is a conflict of interest, and I'm very unsure as to why they didn't make him put that in a trust. Like at minimum. I would have made him put it in a trust, even though, I could see where you don't want to make someone sell and like either take a loss or whatever, a profit. You know what I mean? Like I could definitely see that, but I don't really know why you would allow anyone to hold on to a stock that is directly related. First of all, it's a private placement, which really seems odd, and that would need to be like, I don't know, that would need to be way disclosed. I don't more public than just like, oh, you put it on a form. I don't know. I don't know. Well, he was sworn in, so he had to go through a nomination or something, right? Interesting. I can't even recall his nomination hearings. Michael, in what would be seen as an unusual conduct for a Defense Department official in most administrations, posted personal insults on X, targeting the CEO of the company, calling him a liar who had a God complex. Can you imagine if anyone in a democratically run administration had said things like what they have all said and done? I can't believe that we have such a double standard. Wow, we're just not going to win anymore, are we? It's just not going to, right is never going to win. That's where I'm at this morning. We have been fucked beyond all repair. Good luck, everybody. Fucking hell. But yeah, you know what? Keep up with your bullshit online crap where you waste people's time going after people in real life and getting them fired and RO'd and all this shit. And don't actually take down any cults, but just act like you are and generally cause mayhem and turn your grannies loose on the world so that they can ruin people's lives. You're all disgusting. But yeah, but then there's me. Thank you to my 20 viewers. Michael's role in overseeing AI acquisition comes as the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Pigsbreath, has become an insistent promoter of AI in the military because he'd rather be drinking. The halls of the Pentagon were papered with posters evocative of an iconic Second World War recruiting poster, but with the words, "I want you to use AI." Musk launched XAI in 2023 and has raised billions in funding for it from major equity companies and the Qatar Investment Authority. Of course! XAI's Grok chatbot has been embroiled in controversy over sexualized deepfakes and also a lot of Hitler shit. Before his nomination to the undersecretary job by Dump, Michael had a long career in business, including a high-profile stint as chief business officer at Uber. Oh, he's one of those boys. Okay, I get it. It has been widely reported that Michael knows Musk socially. Well, yeah, I would almost bet my cat on it. His name was initially floated in 2024 as contender for Trump's Secretary of Transportation. Musk, whose Tesla operations could be affected by that department's actions, tweeted approvingly that Michael would be effective at the role. But Trump chose someone else. That's why he hates Sean Duffy. When Hegseth spoke at Musk's Stargate facility in Texas just 3 days after Michael sold his XAI holdings, he gave a shout-out to the undersecretary who was sitting right in front of him. Our Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering, M.L. Michael, right here in the front row as the War Department's single chief technology officer. One CTO for the entire enterprise, he said. Wow. Isn't it great, guys? Isn't it great? Speaking of bitter apples, I don't want to support you. Sorry. Yeah, let me check in with chat. 1,000 foot waves from oceanic alien-like super beings, please tell us to believe. Yeah, exactly. I've been screaming that for the last months. We're screwed. I know. Peace, love. How are you, darling? Money is the common flaw. Yes, Mr. Spock, I believe. I do believe. As long as Cash does his election raids, which that's what I'm going to read about. Oh, my God, Teresa, you and I, we are in sync, sister. In fact, you're probably the source of this. Oh, I don't know. I didn't make a note, but you probably are. You don't really want the vicious MAGA granny drunk audience who thrive on that psycho. And in fact, I would hazard a guess that there's some Chan affiliates involved in that. And frankly, I think I know who one of them is, who has a distinctive down under accent. Reminds me of another person involved with that group of people. I don't think they understand. I don't think people dealing with them understand that they're dealing with something far more than just weaponized grannies. They're dealing with people who truly enjoy taking people's lives apart. So people should understand that this has gone beyond just like internet grannies. There's some really shady characters involved in that. So I'm just saying, but what do I know? Let's see. Aw, thanks. I try. I'm not always a great person, but I sure try. Stopping by to say hi. Hi, Macaroni. Talking to my daughter, so I have it muted. Oh, well, I'm sure you can't hear me, but I'm saying hello to you. So just know, Macaroni, I'm saying hello. I'm driving and listening. Oh, hello, peace, love. Be safe. Be safe. Anyway, kind of got me mad last night. I just see a lot of people doing things that are have real life consequences, and it's all for nothing. It's all for stupidity, and I know some of the players involved are just far more serious than people are taking them to be. So I guess I would just say cease and desist, everyone. Just walk away. Walk away. Please. Just walk away. You're not going to win with those folks. They're not. This is the game. This is the game, and you're playing it for them. So please stop. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, let's read about Kash Patel. Crash. He's just an asshole. Okay, FBI Director Krash Patel said that his agency will soon make arrests, maybe this week. Yeah, because somebody put a bad story out about me, so definitely this week. In connection to the 2020 presidential election, which he claims was rigged. Patel's comments on Fox News and anchor Maria Bartiromo's show Sunday morning suggested that recent moves from his agency, ballot seizures in Fulton County, Georgia, and obtaining election records from Maricopa County, Arizona, may be part of a larger case to paint 2020 election as illegitimate. Illegitimate. Well, that means he can't be president right now. Bye. No. Bye. Asked by Bartiromo if he's done anything about President Donald Trump's claims that his 2020 loss to Joe Biden was due to the election being rigged, Patel affirmed, shedding a few details on what may be afoot. No.
I can announce on your show that we've got all the information that we need. We're working with our prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and the Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Oops, did I say Attorney General? I meant acting. Gotcha, Todd. And we're going to be making arrests. And it's coming. I'll have my jacket on. You should wait and see. And I promise you, it's coming soon. I am never going to let this go. I think everyone needs to know that. And especially since I'm in the news for being a drunk kid that drinks too much on the job and likes to play in Las Vegas and stuff, I think I'm never gonna let this go. Not until I can retire to Las Vegas with my sweetie. That's right. Because they tried to thwart our elections, and they rigged the entire system. Now, when we won in 2024, everything was fine. Yeah, I don't know why, but everything was fine. So, I mean, I guess the system wasn't rigged technically. Maybe it was just like 2020 was a weirdo type of thing. But it was fine in 2024. Now, in 2026, it depends. It depends on what happens. If we lose all the whatever we're gonna lose, it's rigged. And it just went back to the 2020 stuff. That's what happened. I don't know how, but I'm going to explain that. I'll come up with something on that, too. I think Maduro might help me on that one, because he'll probably say just about fucking anything we want him to say at this point. But anyways, I'll see you later. Bye.
All right. He also told Bartiromo that his agency had evidence that the election was rigged, which he said would be used for an entire conspiracy case. Ugh. Watch it. Concerning the 2020 elections. What? We have the information that backs President Trump's claim. said Patel. But because it's an ongoing prosecution, I can't get ahead of the DOJ and the president. I would say stay tuned this week. You might be seeing a thing or two, especially now since everybody thinks I'm a drunk. Because I am. The FBI has relied on widely debunked reports of voter fraud to obtain access to election records in Fulton County. Literally, they use the old accusations that have already been debunked. It's crazy, y'all. Just this week, the U.S. Department of Justice demanded ballots from Wayne County, Michigan, also based on frivolous and unsubstantiated claims of fraud. Oh, sadness. Testifying before a U.S. House committee in March, Patel said the FBI has a number of investigations open into non-citizens voting in past elections, but he couldn't say precisely how many or if any evidence of foreign interference in U.S. elections had been discovered, because there wasn't! Anyway, okay. So that's Democracy Docket was reporting on that. Sorry I didn't say that ahead of time. There's our friend. You're my friend, you're not my friend. This one, I think, didn't you share this? No. Oh, Joe Dempsey shared this. Our beautiful friend, Joe Dempsey. We love Joe. Let me check in. And Michigan is fighting back. That's right, Lee. That is right. Double check. I said, no, I got 2 wrong. That's a pass. What? Can you do a baby voice, a bark for the poodle room? Yes, I can.
I'm Cash Patel, and I'm sitting in the poodle room. Bark, bark, bark.
Bark, bark. One time at work, they had a training course on dicing. What? Dicing and Wimmy's training? There was a guy who was smart, did 50 multiple choice questions in 12 and a half minutes. The tester said, do you want to double check? I said, no, I got 2 wrong. That's a pass. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a good one. It's funnier than Chris Elliott. Yeah, well, okay, that's not a huge diacine aircraft. I don't even know what that word is. I'm going to have to look up that. Pretty good for a dyslexic person. Oh, I feel like I have something in wrong, but it might be my brain. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I can't speak sometimes. But I don't know. De-icing. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. Ice removal. Thank you, Mr. Spock. Thank you, Meowing Star. Ooh, okay. Or it might just be high. I don't know. The fight that is coming, to switch gears, sorry, from de-icing. The fight that is coming is on the 702 reauthorization, and that is something that Joe Dempsey, our beautiful friend, shared this Ron Wyden missive, if you will, regarding that. I was thinking slicing and dicing. Briefings on DI side. Yep, we need a good hearing on that. Okay, let's see here. I write, dear colleague, this is from April 13th. I write regarding the upcoming reauthorization of 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. I urge you to oppose any clean extension of 702 that does not include reforms to protect Americans' constitutional rights. As the longest-serving member of either Congressional Intelligence Committee, it is clear to me that reforms are essential and can be made without compromising the national security value of Section 702. Further, there are multiple issues related to Section 702 that the American people and many members of Congress have been left in the dark about, including a FISA court opinion from last month that found major compliance problems. These matters should be declassified and openly debated before 702 is reauthorized. Section 702 authorizes a warrantless surveillance program. Congress intended this program to target foreigners outside the United States. But in practice, this program clearly collects a large and increasing number of Americans' communications. In many cases, these will be law-abiding Americans having perfectly legitimate, often sensitive conversations. These Americans could include journalists, foreign aid workers, people with family members overseas, even women trying to get abortion medication from an overseas provider. Congress has an obligation to protect our country from foreign threats and protect the rights of these and other Americans. For years, there have been jaw-dropping abuses of 702. The government has searched 702 data to find Black Lives Matter protesters, political campaign donors, elected officials, and even a state judge who complained about police abuses. You will hear opponents of reform tell you that everything was fixed with reforms in the 2024 reauthorization bill. I want to walk through one so-called reform from 2024 to illustrate why that isn't true. The 2024 bill requires the Deputy Director of the FBI to approve certain sensitive searches of 702 data for communications of elected officials, political candidates, journalists, political activists, and more. As you know, until 2 months ago, the Deputy Director was Dan Bingo Bongo, a longtime conspiracy theorist who has frequently called for baseless investigations into his political opponents. His replacement, Andrew Bailey, is a highly partisan election denier who recently directed a raid on a Georgia election office to justify Donald Trump's conspiracy theories. These are men that the President and U.S. Senate put in charge of overseeing these sensitive searches. But it gets worse than that. Last year, these sensitive warrantless searches more than tripled, and the FBI has refused to explain why. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Given Trump's enthusiasm for investigating journalists and political opponents, this is a blaring alarm warning of abuses that Congress has yet to be told about. The Inspector General recently reviewed the FBI's compliance with this internal approval requirement and found that the FBI does not keep track of all requests received by the Deputy Director for approval. The Inspector General urged the FBI to simply maintain a new spreadsheet to keep track of these requests, to include requests that are not approved. The FBI refused and claimed that it would require additional resources. Additional resources simply to create a new spreadsheet. That is how much the FBI wants to avoid oversight. Other warrantless surveillance has increased as well. Beyond these sensitive searches, over the past year, the FBI significantly increased its total number of warrantless searches for Americans' communications in Section 702 data. Further, while the Patriot Act's business records authorities expired more than 6 years ago, the executive branch has exploited a loophole to more than quadruple warrantless collection over the past year under these expired authorities. Most recently, last month, the FISA court found major compliance problems related to Section 702. These compliance problems are directly related to Americans' constitutional rights. The Trump administration has not fixed these major compliance problems and is even considering whether to appeal the court ruling rather to fix them. In the meantime, the Trump administration is trying to jam a straight reauthorization of 702 through Congress over the next week, while the American people and many members of Congress are left in the dark. Separately, multiple administrations have relied on secret legal interpretation related to 702 that directly affects the privacy rights of Americans. I will be depositing with House Security a classified letter on this topic available to members and cleared staff. I encourage each of you to read it. I strongly believe that both of these matters can and should be declassified and that Congress needs to debate them openly before Section 702 is reauthorized. Let me emphasize one additional point. Americans are not told when their communications are warrantlessly collected and searched under 702 and cannot challenge this surveillance in court. The statute relies in part on tech companies to challenge overreaches on behalf of their users, which they have sometimes done in the past. However, today, large tech companies are racing to curry favor with the administration, donating millions of dollars to Trump's pet projects and blocking downloads of disfavored apps based on simple requests from Trump officials. It's hard to imagine these companies putting their users first and standing up to the administration when they aren't required to and when their actions are shielded from any public scrutiny. I hope you agree that reforms are urgently needed and that, at a minimum, Congress cannot trust this administration to use 702 responsibly. Colleagues and I have introduced a bipartisan bicameral bill, the Government Surveillance Reform Act, that includes a full set of needed reforms to government surveillance. I want to outline 3 critical reforms here. Ending the backdoor search loophole. A critical reform needed to 702 is to require that the government obtain a warrant before searching through 702 data to find particular Americans' communications. Smart policy should include certain exceptions to the warrant requirement, including warrantless searches in emergency cases, as are standard in other areas of surveillance law. At no point during my service on the Intelligence Committee have I heard a convincing national security argument for opposing a warrant requirement. Opponents of reform frequently tout the value of 702 collection, but they have never presented a convincing case on why a warrant requirement to search for Americans' communications, particularly a warrant requirement that includes the kinds of emergency and other exceptions included in our reform bill, would diminish 702's national security value. 702 was never meant to be a tool to search for specific Americans' data without a warrant. When the provision was created in 2008, Congress never seriously considered that the executive branch might use 702 data that way. In 2012, during the first reauthorization debate, the executive branch even refused to publicly acknowledge that it was conducting these warrantless searches. Many members of Congress and certainly most voters were unaware that these searches were taking place. Closing the data broker loophole. With recent developments in AI supercharging how the government can surveil Americans, Congress must use this upcoming debate to make necessary reforms to all of our surveillance laws. One such issue is how the government purchases location data and other sensitive information on Americans, circumventing a warrant requirement. FBI Director Kash Patel recently confirmed in public testimony that the FBI purchases sensitive information, including location data, on Americans. Several other agencies, including ICE and CBP, reportedly also purchase sensitive data on Americans. Location data is extremely sensitive and can reveal someone's religion, their political views, medical conditions, addictions, and where and with whom they spend time. It is not hard to see how location information can be abused, especially by this administration, to target immigrants, political dissidents at protest, abortion seekers, and dumps other perceived enemies. Congress must not squander this opportunity to protect American civil liberties and should require a warrant before the government obtains Americans' location data, web browsing history, search queries, AI chat logs, and other sensitive information. Number 3, repealing the Make Anyone a Spy provision. The 2024 reauthorization legislation also created a terrible new addition to 702. This provision allows the government to force anyone with access to communication to collect those communications for the government. This Make Anyone a Spy provision could be applied to anyone with access to a cable box, a Wi-Fi router, or a server. The Biden administration promised that it would only use this dangerously broad provision in a narrow, secret set of circumstances. In my view, this expansion of government authority is not justified, even if it were limited to the circumstances that the Biden administration described in secret. And the Dump administration is certainly not bound by its predecessor's promise in any case. There is absolutely nothing preventing the Dump administration from conscripting cable repair and tech support men and women to spy on their fellow Americans. In public testimony last month, the NSA declined to claim that this new provision had produced any intelligence value at all. It should be repealed in its entirety. These and a number of other smart reforms need to be made to American surveillance laws to ensure that American security and constitutional rights are both protected. Unfortunately, defenders of the status quo have been unwilling in the past to have a serious discussion about these reforms, except when reformers show that they are willing and able to block a straight renewal of existing surveillance laws. For more than 20 years, the often successful anti-reform playbook has been to unveil a reauthorization bill shortly before a deadline and claim that the world will end unless the bill is passed without reforms. Rejecting reforms without debate is a disservice to our constituents and our constitutional responsibilities. Congress can have a debate. Congress can consider amendments on their merit, and Congress should not accept any secret interpretation of the legislation that its members vote on. At a time when our democracy is under tremendous threat, we owe it to our constituents to have a real open debate about surveillance authorities that directly affect both their security and their fundamental freedoms, and we should not exclude them from that debate. That's right. Thank you, Ron Wyden. Thanks, Ron Wyden, for your commentary. Hear, hear. Breaking into the Oz of ISO honey oil butter. Yes! TV2 is here. I didn't even see you come in. How you doing, bud? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, how good is that to the environment? I used to vacuum up the glycol they sprayed on the aircrafts. Hint, when it's a big storm, they just open up the drains to the environment. Oh, I would imagine all bets are off at that point. That's too bad. All right. Oh, we're doing good. We've got some good stuff. Oh, this is from Lee, I think. Lee found this one. Yep, Lee, you found this one, girl. Sebastian Gorka. It's Sebastian Gorka. Did I read this already? No, I didn't read this, right? No. This is new. Yeah, this is new. We read something else about Gorka. Okay, April 15th. Okay. Sebastian Gorka. Alas, Wyden has been writing on such things steadily for 20 plus years. Yeah, I know. Well, but I didn't realize that the searches had tripled or quadrupled or whatever they have, and that they're on Americans. I thought that was supposed to be foreign targets, but yeah, no. They've got Democracy Dino, I know it. Ugh. And that woman from that Zero Dark Dork guy, that woman's reporting me. Jeannie, she's reported me to the FBI. I don't know why, but she did. They haven't come yet. They haven't come yet. They haven't come to my door yet, Jeannie. Where are they? Hey, thank you. You are a very big help, lady. All right, Sebastian Gorka, a national security aide to Donald Dump, is seeking to become the next head of the National Counterterrorism Center, a position that would give him broad powers over the country's vast counterterrorism apparatus. Unbelievably, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. Well, I can't wait to bring out my DM when he slid into my DMs that time. God, these guys are so stupid. Yeah, Dorka. That's what we're going to call him from now on. Dorka. That's perfect. The maneuvering comes a month after Joe Kent, the center's previous director, resigned in protest over the Iran war, publicly sharing his exit letter in which he rejected Dump's claim that Tehran posed an imminent threat that merited U.S. military intervention. Well, even a broken clock. Dorka, a deputy assistant to the president, has focused much of his career on a hardline approach to Islamist extremism and immigration policy. He's also known for voicing his adulation of Dump on conservative media and for his scathing criticism of the president's adversaries. And remember, he was part of the Hungarian conservative movement. That's where he's from. And he was friends with Orban. Or is, I guess. It was not immediately clear whether the administration intends to nominate Dorka. Those familiar with Dorka's interest in the NCTC post, which requires Senate confirmation, which I can't wait for, spoke on condition of anonymity. The White House, when reached for a comment, said personnel announcements will come solely from the administration. Dorka did not respond. Joe Wierski, a retired Marine with special operations experience, is leading the NCTC on an acting basis. As the National Security Council's director for counterterrorism, Dorka has led administration efforts to broaden the definition of terrorist threats to include far-left groups. I guess. A move that has raised concerns among civil liberties groups. In September, Dump signed an executive order designating Antifa, the short for anti-fascist, a loose collection. It's not even a collection of anti-fascist groups that can sometimes... What the fuck, Washington Post? This is why I ended my subscription, which ends on April 30th. Oh, please. Of domestic terrorist, although no such label exists in federal law. Exactly. So it means nothing. Like everything with this administration, it means nothing. Yikes. Violent. Please. Let's see. Kent, the NCTC's former director, is a close friend of Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, the toenail girl, who before entering government expressed skepticism about U.S. military intervention in the Middle East and was member of a cult. He has warned that the war, which began with the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, a figure reviled by many but also revered by millions of adherents to Shia Islam, may expose the United States to terrorist threats. Well, there's other reasons not to do it, but okay. Dorka has taken the opposite stance, saying the war could significantly diminish the risk of terrorism in the United States.
As far as I'm concerned, Operation Epic foray is going to solve perhaps the most tranchant and strategic terrorist threat the world faces today. And God bless all of our war fighters who are engaging to make that happen.
He told the Council on Foreign Relations in March. Dorka, a British-Hungarian-American radio personality, taught courses on national security at National Defense University and worked closely with conservative political operative Bannon, the three-shirter, at Breitbart before both men began working for Dump in his first term. Dorka's demeanor has rankled some conservative political operatives who have called him abrasive. Well, he is a bit of a baby, too. I'll just say that. Michael Anton, who served in both of Dump's administrations, pulled himself out of consideration for Deputy National Security Advisor last fall when he is informed that Dorka would hold a position on the National Security Council. The Washington Post first reported, "Oops. Oops. Nobody likes you, Dorka. Nobody likes you." Literally looking at posts from 2 days ago that shows Steve Bannon's urine-soaked pants at some event. That's right. We watched that on Friday night, didn't we? That he had pee-pee pants at TCP USA. TSP. Talk about TCP. Okay, here we go. Let's go to another one here because I'm really proud of myself. We're getting through all the articles that I wanted to bring up. I'm very happy about it. This, unfortunately, is from Fox News, but that's the way it is. Sometimes we have shitty media literacy, and sometimes we have good. This is from last week too, but I want to follow this one because I'm really mad about this. ODNI sends criminal referrals to DOJ for ex-IG whistleblower tied to Dump impeachment. Literally, the people who are supposed to be protected, like whistleblowers, she's sending their names for referral for criminal charges to Turd Blanche, who's probably going to do it or try. I mean, I guess they'll try. The criminal referrals come after DNI Tulsi Toenails said newly declassified records reveal a coordinated effort to advance 2019 Trump impeachment. It's just simply not true, and it's disgusting that she's wasting our money and our trust on this. Like, the disinformation is just fucking crazy. Never sucker punched anybody. It's not right. Trouser Piss USA. Neil, that's a good one. Semaphore World Economy. That's right. He was also at Semaphore. Is that where he did? 90,000 Antifa stormed the beaches of Normandy to stop the last psychotic Nazi. Right, exactly. Fucking hell. Jesus. I want to refer information that may constitute possible criminal activity in violation of federal criminal law committed by one or more former employees of the intelligence community. Wham! ODNI's general counsel wrote in the referral to the Justice Department. It's really disgusting to me, too, the people that are supporting, like, the workings of this. The mid-level management. What the fuck is wrong with people? Wow, I just don't understand it. Fox News Digital one day reviewed the referrals, the ODNI. Is that the referrals? No. Okay. That's not. Sorry. False alarm. Okay. The possible criminal activity concerns the circumstances described in the following congressional briefings. Discussion with Intelligence Community Inspector General, House Permanent Select Committee on Intel for the 116th Congress 2019. Briefing by the Intelligence Community Inspector General, House Permanent Select Committee on Intel 116. It continued. Wow, it's really amazing to me. That's Michael Atkinson, the then Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. He had an interview about the whistleblower complaint that exposed a July phone call the president had with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Trump pressed for an investigation into Joe Biden. Yep. The referrals come after DNI Tulsi Gabbard released documents earlier this week exposing what was described as a coordinated effort by elements. Like, I always wonder if doesn't Lev have any documentation that proves that Trump tried to pressure Zelensky? Like, why don't we have more from Lev in terms of actual proof of Trump's engagement. Does anybody wonder that? Like, with all the stuff I know about Lev, I don't feel like I've ever seen, like, definitive proof that Dump knew about what he was doing. And I can't imagine that he doesn't have it. Anyway, things I wonder sometimes. An intelligence official told Fox News Digital that the language in the referral is broad because she doesn't actually get very specific about things in any of her, like, you know, criminal referrals, frankly. The same thing with the Fulton County search warrant. It didn't even mention foreign interference, but that's the basis for the warrant, I guess. It's just weird. It's weird how much is just accepted and then we keep moving on. Kind of crazy. But that it's specifically directed at Atkinson, again, the IG at the time for the intelligence community, and the whistleblower who reported concerns about President Dump's July 2019 phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Like, literally, doesn't that just seem wrong on the face of it? It really seems wrong on the face of it. I mean, even if you don't have all the context of Tulsi and Dump and the 2020 election and all of the other stuff, it just seems like, or not 2020 election, but like the whole Zelensky phone call and the Rudy Giuliani bullshit. Even if you didn't have knowledge of that, that seems wrong on its face. I don't know. Seems to me. Newly declassified records expose how deep state actors within the intelligence community concocted a false narrative that Congress used to usurp the will of the American people and impeach a duly elected president. Well, I mean, it didn't really do anything, did it, Tulsi? Real Donald Trump. Blah, blah, blah. Fox News Digital reached out DOJ on Wednesday regarding the referrals. The documents Gabbard released earlier this week include transcripts from Atkinson's closed-door testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, which were withheld from the House Judiciary Committee during the first impeachment trial. The House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford from Arkansas, a Republican, led a vote to release the transcripts in March. ODNI said the documents confirmed that Atkinson failed to conduct basic due diligence and willfully exceeded his statutory jurisdiction to mischaracterize the president's phone call with Zelensky as an urgent concern to Congress. Atkinson, during his investigation, found that the whistleblower showed indications of political bias and was in favor of a rival political candidate while still deeming the complaint a matter of urgent concern. Well, see, this is the thing, and that's what I recall when I think I actually read the Ukraine, this referral, and they don't claim that it was there's no there. What they claim is that Atkinson didn't properly disclose the fact that the characteristics of the whistleblower, that they might have been, because at the end of the day, the political views of the whistleblower still didn't make it any less urgent that this be addressed. So, I mean, I'm sure you could find something wrong with the way Atkinson handled it, but to me, it doesn't seem like there's a there. Like, Atkinson, it seems to me, would have taken in all the information that they got from the interviews and then made the referral based on an overview of the entire set of data, not just, oh, well, but they like Biden, so fuck them. Like, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. Atkinson received a complaint in August 2019 from the whistleblower who was raising concerns about Trump's July 2019 phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, pressing him to launch investigations into the Biden's family actions and business dealings in Ukraine. The president specifically suggested that Zelensky look into Hunter Biden's ventures with Ukrainian natural gas firm Burisma Holdings and former President Joe Biden's successful effort to have former Ukrainian prosecutor General Viktor Shokin ousted, which was an international community thing, not a Biden thing. But whatever. Hunter Biden was quietly under federal investigation beginning in 2018 at the time of the call, a probe prompted by suspicious foreign transactions, and they didn't actually find anything. That's the way it is. So now do the Trump sons, please. How about that? Oh, wait, you're going out? Right on. My son is heading out for the Res Tour. Ah, here comes. That's going to be exciting. Don't make me re-up the Shokin thread. Yeah, you sound like Tina. Trump's request was regarded by the Democrats as a quid pro quo because millions of dollars in U.S. military aid had been frozen. Yeah. Okay. This is like if A and B, then C. It's fine to have that happen. Democrats also said Trump was meddling in the 2020 presidential election by asking a foreign leader to look into a Democrat political opponent. Yeah. Biden has acknowledged that when he was vice president, he successfully pressured Ukraine to fire Shokin. At the time, Shokin was investigating Burisma Holdings, and Hunter had a highly lucrative role on the board, receiving thousands of dollars per month. Oh, Fox News. The then vice president threatened to withhold $1 billion of critical U.S. aid if Shokin was not fired. I said, "You're not getting the billion." I looked at them and said, "I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money." Biden recalled telling the then Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. Biden recollected the conversation during an event for the Council on Foreign Relations in 2018. And they just got crazy. "Well, son of a bitch, he got fired," Biden said during the event, and they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Biden allies maintained the then vice president pushed for Shokin's firing due to concerns that the Ukrainian prosecutor went easy on corruption, and they say that his firing at the time was the policy position. And it was. They don't say it. It was the position of the U.S. and international community. The IMF, for example. Republicans at the time complained that the whistleblower made contact with the staff of then Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff in advance, although Schiff downplayed the nature of that contact. Who cares? Because if I'm a whistleblower, I'm not going to the party that hates me that I'm blowing the whistle on, you idiots. I would call my congressman. I don't know if that's their congressman, but I would call my congressman and say, help. The White House, under Trump's first term, released a declassified version of the whistleblower complaint, which revealed that the whistleblower's concerns stem from the secondhand accounts of more than half a dozen U.S. officials. And if you don't recall all of those hearings, those officials were quite sober and quite believable. So it wasn't just I think I heard him say something like that. The declassified whistleblower complaint, though, stated, "I was not a direct witness to most of the events. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of these events to be credible because in almost all cases, multiple officials recounted fact patterns that were consistent with one another." Well, that sounds like it's a pretty serious consideration. Sorry, Fox. Trump was impeached in the House of Representatives in December 2019. He was acquitted by the Senate because Mitch McConnell is a bitch. Mitch McConnell is a bitch. Mitch McConnell is a bitch. Hey. Let's see. What did I have? Big oil. Let's see. Is this one? I don't know. These aren't that great. Maybe this one. Yeah, let's do this one. This is from yesterday, Wall Street Journal. Hegseth. Pig's Breath's feud with Army Secretary spills into public view. Here's Lolo with your dishing the dirt on the Defense Department. Oh, dishing dirt on defense. Triple D. Here's my Triple D. Alex Vindman was in the call, and I believe he has corroborated. Yeah, this is all been actually done. We've already talked about this. This is yet another way that Tulsi Gabbard is trying to save her skin. Soon after the first day in the Pentagon in early 2025, Army Secretary Dan Driscoll walked into his boss's office with a proposal. Driscoll, a longtime friend and aide to President J.D. Couchfucker Vance, offered to organize a visit by Vance and Dump to meet soldiers and talk about reforming the Army. Defense Secretary Pig's Breath raised his voice, telling Driscoll that he, Pig's Breath, was in charge and ordered Driscoll to stay in his lane, according to people familiar with the encounter. Woohoo! The meeting ended abruptly, and then everybody had vodka. The encounter was just one early episode in what has become a rocky relationship between the Pentagon chief and the Army Secretary. That tension spilled out into public view on Thursday when Driscoll described to lawmakers his fondness for the Army's former top general, Randy George, whom Pig's Breath fired as the service's chief of staff on April 2nd, while Driscoll was on vacation. I, too, love General George, Driscoll told lawmakers during a hearing when asked about the four-star general's sudden dismissal, calling him an amazing transformation leader. There they are, Dan Driscoll and Randy George. We're buddies. White House officials said pig's breath has the confidence of the president, which means pretty much what you think it does, who is pleased with the job he's doing running the Pentagon. Yeah, he loves that shit. But the unusually public nature of the spat, along with the firing of a highly respected general during a war, has triggered fresh criticism within the Pentagon and in some dump circles of pig's breath's leadership. It has prompted questions about whether he allows personal vendettas to drive some decisions in a time of unprecedented military commitments around the world. God, yeah, you could say that. Retired Navy Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery, a senior fellow with the Foundation of Defense of Democracies, panned pig's breath's decision to fire George, effectively stripping the Army of a senior leader in a wartime environment while trying to undergo transformation procurement-wise. I couldn't think of two things I'd rather not do than that, Montgomery said. In a statement, White House spokesman Anna Kelly praised both pig's breath and Driscoll. President Dump has effectively restored a focus on readiness and lethality across our military with the help of leaders like Secretary Pig's Breath and Secretary Driscoll. Sean Parnell, the chief Pentagon spokesman, said Hegseth maintains excellent working relationships with the secretaries of every military service branch, including Army Secretary Dan Driscoll. People familiar with the dynamic between Pig's Breath and Driscoll said their relationship was fraught with tension from the beginning. After the exchange over Driscoll's proposal to organize a visit from the White House, tensions increased over the course of that spring, which was plagued with scandals for the Pentagon chief. In March 2025, a journalist revealed that Hegseth had posted classified war plans in a signal chat with national security aides. The next month, 3 of Pig's Breath top aides were marched out of the Pentagon after being accused of leaking classified information. The aides denied wrongdoing and no charges were filed. What? What? People with knowledge of internal discussions said Pig's Breath was worried that Trump was eyeing Driscoll to replace him. Ooh, let's move that rumor faster. Driscoll was also widely seen throughout the administration as protected in his job because of his close relationship with Vance, the couch fucker, don't forget, who attended Yale Law School with the Army Secretary. Well, that's probably also why. He's probably just jealous. Almost immediately after taking office, Pig's Breath began targeting Army leadership, firing or sidelining officers with ties to retired General Mark Milley, the former Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman who has clashed with Trump. I still have a crush on him. Hegseth has fired or sidelined several Army generals, including Lieutenant General Joseph Berger, the Army's former top lawyer, General Douglas Sims, the former director of the Joint Staff, Lieutenant General Joseph McGee, the former director for strategy, plans, and policy at the Joint Staff, and General James Mingus, the Army's former vice chief of staff. In November, Trump dispatched Driscoll to Ukraine to help negotiate a peace deal in the country's war with Russia. That didn't work. It was an unusual task for a civilian service leader whose job was to train and equip soldiers, not lead peace talks. It led to widespread questions within the Pentagon on why Driscoll and not his boss Hegseth was chosen for this task. Hegseth told associates he wanted the White House to take Driscoll off the negotiations, according to several people with knowledge of the internal discussions. Soon after, Driscoll was temporarily pulled from the high-profile assignment, and many of his press engagements were quashed, the people said. Ugh, bitter Bettys. By early 2026, Driscoll and Pig's Breath were feuding again, this time over a personnel issue. Pig's Breath and his aides had demanded that Driscoll remove several service members from a highly selective list of officers slated to be promoted to one-star general, including black and female officers, as well as Colonel Dave Butler, Milley's former spokesman, according to people with knowledge of the discussions. Driscoll repeatedly refused to strike the names of the Army officers from the list. According to some people familiar with the discussions, Pig's Breath called Driscoll to his office in early February for what was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting. The encounter turned into a heated discussion that lasted more than an hour, during which Pig's Breath ordered Driscoll to fire Butler as a top communications advisor in the Army. The dismissal of Butler became public about a week later. The friction culminated when the New York Times reported the rift over the promotions list. Pig's Breath and his aides suspected that George had leaked the story and decided to ask for his resignation, according to people familiar with the internet deliberations. Pig's Breath dismissed George in a terse phone call April 2nd while Driscoll was on vacation with his family in North Carolina. Neither Army leader was given any explanation or advance notice, according to people with knowledge of the incident. The phone call, which George received during a meeting at the Pentagon, lasted less than a minute, those people said. Driscoll told lawmakers that he and his family drove straight from North Carolina to George's house, where the whole family gave him a hug. There is no person that has more respect for General George in his 42 years of service. Holy shit. His Purple Heart, his wife, Patty, their grandkids, their kids. I adore them, Driscoll said. Pig's Breath appointed General Christopher Leneve, his own former senior military aide, to replace George in an acting capacity. Pig's Breath also fired 2 other senior Army officers, General David Hodney, who was head of the Army's Transformation and Training Command, and Major General William Green Jr., who was head of Army chaplains. Some Republican lawmakers praised Driscoll's leadership of the Army while lamenting Pig's Breath treatment of George. "You are the right person in the right place at the right time," said Rep. Tom Cole, Republican of Oklahoma. Steve Womack, Republican of Arkansas, a retired colonel in the Army National Guard, said the former chief was a distinguished representative of our Army, and I, too, regret the fact that the conditions he left the service in, and I think our country will regret that circumstance. But we won't say anything about it, like to the president. In recent weeks, Pig's Breath chief spokesman Parnell has told administration officials that Pig's Breath has promised to tap him as Army Secretary after Driscoll leaves. What? Several people said. Parnell denied that characterization, earlier reported by the New York Post, saying in a statement that he is completely focused on my current roles. No. Days after George's firing, Driscoll issued an unusual statement to the Washington Post. "Serving under President Dump has been the honor of a lifetime, and I remain laser-focused on providing America with the strongest land fighting force the world has ever seen," Driscoll said in the statement. "I have no plans to depart or resign as the Secretary of the Army, and if I die, it wasn't by suicide." Wasn't Parnell January 6th? No. It was. I don't know why I keep connecting him with January 6th. I'm sure it's a mistake. He didn't mention Pig's Breath. Okay. An earlier version, 25 return. Oh, okay, that's fine. Anyway. Oh my God, I got through most of the stuff. I don't really want to read that. I don't really care. Oh, that's the thing I was looking at earlier. Awesome. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I got through the articles I really wanted to read to you. Purple Heart is a wry nickname for a dear wife. Purple Heart. Yeah, I don't want to be called that. Procurement-wise, yeah. I think he was in Ukraine not too long ago. Oh, this is... Kellogg seems like... Kellogg is already on the dark side, okay? Keith Kellogg, he's a nutball. He's been on Real America's Voice, like, for years. Like, he's a nut. He's a literal, like, sick nut. He's 81 years old. No, he's going to drop dead soon. And they gave him the role, but he's never involved in any of the Ukrainian stuff. You never hear his name. But he's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. He was an embarrassment at the Munich Security Conference, it was, I think, or I don't know, maybe something else. But he was just an embarrassment. An embarrassment, I tell you. All right, let's see. What else have we got? Anything really huge? Let's see. Oh, wait, what's going on? What is this? There's a Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections. I don't know what the meeting was about, though. Just seeing if there's anything really exciting. The House floor, are they doing anything? Oh, God. They're wishing happy birthday to someone. Whatever. All right, I think we've pretty much hit the highlights. All right. I know, I like reading days, too. I do. I like reading days a lot. I think it's good. It really helps me. Because I can't necessarily stop and read during the day. I do, but I get distracted really easily. So that's why this is super helpful for me. So thank you. Thank you for indulging. Driscoll is JD's boy. Yeah, Teresa, that's interesting. That's really interesting. JD Vance, is he going to go to Islamabad and fuck up again? Is that what we have to look forward to? Oh my God. Well, that's going to do it for me for today. But tomorrow, I think I have to check. I'm so sorry. I know there was a SCOTUS case this morning. It was on the SEC. So I'm not too sad that we missed it. Yeah, Driscoll is berries. Yeah, they're just a berry company. So I will leave it there for now, but I will be back tomorrow morning, and we'll see. Check the times, because I'm sorry, we're still in this limbo right now of me wanting to be available to my daughter in the morning and help her get to work easily and stuff like that. So probably going to go with an 8:30 again, but I'm gonna try and get us back to the earlier mornings, but it would really help if we were able to find a place to live closer to where she works. So we're continuing to do that. We're a little depressed right now, so we're probably not going to look for a place right now, but we'll take it up again. It's very demoralizing. Supposedly landing there Tuesday, but Iran is saying they aren't. Exactly. That's what I heard this morning on NPR. They're not. Yeah, because we just fucking took over one of their ships. I saw some of that tape yesterday. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you're just blowing up ships? Like, it's an Iranian ship. Like, it's an Iranian ship going to Iran. Like, I understand that this is part of the war thing, but I guess I have a problem with the whole war thing. Because if anybody tried to stop one of our ships coming into our ports, we'd be fucking nutballs over it and start dropping bombs. So, gosh, I guess thank goodness the Iranians decided not to just start dropping bombs. You know? I'm going to do it. Take those drugs. 20 years of therapy in one. I'm doing it. Yeah, I heard that this morning too. So, great job, everybody. Oh, and another thing I heard this morning was that the idiot that runs our energy department, Chris Wright, who is the biggest idiot on the planet, and that's saying something. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sure something will come, but it's very hard to keep going. Anyway, what was I saying? It is so much like work. It's just very emotional too, and I'm trying to take the emotion out of it, and it's not working. Because it's expensive too. Like applying to apartments, and you have to apply, because if you don't apply, they're not even going to look at you. And then either someone has come in and scooped it up, or from an AI standpoint, you've been kicked out. It's very frustrating. But anyway, enough. I'm sorry. I don't mean to drag all of you into my personal pain. There are clinics for literally ringing the U.S., Jane, Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, Canada. Will they let me go to Canada? Well, maybe. Is JD being set up for another fail? See, this is what I wonder, Teresa. And I think that I kind of go back and forth on whether or not they're trying to... Like, I don't know. I'm not sure what the game is by sending JD. I think it is, obviously, to kind of just, groom him or whatever. I'm not sure who's calling the shots on that, frankly. But I kind of wonder, like, why isn't Marco Rubio going? Like, why aren't we isn't this supposed to be like a diplomatic thing? Like, I also wonder if it's to take attention away from Witkoff and Jared, really. I definitely think that it could be to squash any talk about Jared being involved. Because I think there is some nervousness about the fact that Jared's dirty dealings are really getting talked about, I think, quite a bit. But what do I know? I don't know. I don't think they know. I think they're figuring out as they go. Yeah, it is. It's pretty seat of the pants. I don't know. I certainly don't know what they're thinking. My God. That's below my pay grade. No, I'm just kidding. Right. Yes, that's what it is, Teresa. God, thank you. You're so... Teresa, I love you so much. Your brain is so good about reminding me about things. Yeah, Wright said, oh, yeah, maybe prices won't get better on gas until like 2027. Chris Wright, this is a self-inflicted wound. These gas prices are self-inflicted. That's it. I'm telling you, I don't know how people keep their sanity with this. Maybe I just spend too much time thinking about it. It's, I think Jared and Ivanka slipped into the shadows last time to do these deals without so much talk happening. Yep. I think it might be because there's a lot of stories about it now, and it's kind of getting uncomfortable, I think. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of money involved. It's like when Kissinger sidelined Melvin Laird or whoever was the Secretary of State at the time. Yeah. That's it, Neil. It is kind of like that. Interesting. But they're all, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. And Trump posted a video that had the meme Vance in it. They love that. They totally took on that. Yeah, austerity is the new golden age. Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones without good costumes. Anyway, Val, have a good day. That's right. I love you, sweetheart. We're good. We're good. I will see you tomorrow morning. And guess what? That Natchez documentary that I thought wasn't available is available. So I think that's what we'll watch tomorrow night on documentary night. So join us on Discord also on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, etc. for documentary night. But I will be live tomorrow morning, probably about the same time I was today, 8:30/11:30. And I will see you with all the news that's fit to print. I think we've probably got some congressional stuff happening tomorrow. So exciting. All right. I will see you all later. Happy 420. That's the best news I've had all day. And I think you should smoke weed every day.
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.
I'll go in and take a look. A dinosaur
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.